What makes a man? Is it the woman in his arms? Just 'cause she has big titties? Or is it the way he fights every day? No, it's probably the titties. Now you're a male. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh. Now you're a male. Male, 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 male. Now you're a male. M-A-N, man, 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 man. Now you're a male.
Hello, my darlings. Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody's fine. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday evening. I apologize beforehand because I may be coughing at some point, or I might have to mute the mic in order to cough because I'm still at the tail end of a cold. Just like that. So yeah. Unfortunately, there will be some coughing in between things because I am still suffering. I'm trying to drink a lot of water and stuff to keep the throat moisturized. So, what are we doing, kids? What are we up to? Oh, big up Mr. Manny Cinder in his house. MGTOW Lion. Yeah. This conversation is going to be about the manosphere and sort of a certain event that has happened in the manosphere, which, to be honest with you, for the most part, most of the people that actually listen into this show don't really give a crap about anyway. But I listen to these manosphere guys. I've been following the manosphere, if you will, since 2012, 2011. No, 2011. Hey, big up Jack, big up everyone in the chat, and hello and welcome. So yeah, just settle in and chill. I will throw in the link for the hangout in a moment, but I need to get through some of the, I guess, sort of prerequisites of explaining what the manosphere and all that jazz is before we go further in. So initially, I just want to start with some of the players in the modern manosphere. This gentleman is known as Kevin Samuels. Now, Kevin Samuels is I think a PR or a fashion consultant or some sort of image consultant. That's it. So he consults and gives recommendations on people on how to change their image for various different, I guess, either celebrities or individuals who want to have a high profile, maybe through their company. You know, nowadays we have almost entrepreneur celebrities like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and so on. So I suppose these types of people who, everybody's going to be at some point in the media. I mean, look at me. I'm a nobody, and I'm still, got a little bit of a platform, a little bit of media presence. So everybody needs image consulting. And he runs a podcast, the Kevin Samuels podcast, in which he has a lot of women call in, and he advises them on the type of men they should be looking out for or selecting for. A lot of these women have made mistakes. They're either divorced or they're single parent mothers, or women who are not really in the caliber of the men that they're looking for. These women are shooting for the top 1% men, whilst they themselves are maybe without makeup, probably a 5 or a 6 at best. So these are the type of things. Now, I don't want to get too bogged down into what Kevin Samuels does, but yeah, he's part of the manosphere. He tries to guide both men and women towards long-term relationships, towards fulfilling relationships, and to manage their expectations through that. So he's one of the people who advises men on various different things. Also, I follow these two gentlemen online as well, Abe and Preach. You could say they're part of the manosphere. They generally are commentators on various different things that go on, but yes, they do commentate on the manosphere, or men in the manosphere, commenting or giving advice to men, young men, about how to dating coach, pickup artistry, and also generally how to be the best man they can be, uh, given their circumstances. So, hey, welcome everyone, Busker. Just to say, just chillax. I'm just getting into the bit of the manosphere, or explaining the manosphere. Now, I'm old school. I come from the very beginning of, if you will, the manosphere or the pickup artistry. Not these two. I come from this era. I come from the era of mystery. I don't know if you guys remember, there was an MTV show called The Pickup Artist, where they teach these effectively losers, or just men who are terrible with women, how to pick up women. And Neil Strauss, The Game. I come from that era. That's my era of the manosphere. I didn't really explore the manosphere any more than that particular period. I kind of fell out of it, if you will, uh, past this era of the pickup artistries, where me and my friends, yeah, we went out for most of 2011, 2012, and put this stuff to test. And I'll be honest with you, given enough time, given enough practice in the field, it works. It works in the sense that it gives you. Some men need permission to approach women. Some men need that psychological permission. I always felt I needed someone to tell me, yeah, you are allowed to go and talk to this woman. It's okay. And I grew up semi in a single parents household, although my mum remarried, and I did have a father figure, but unfortunately my father figure was a very beta male. My mother has always been an extremely alpha female, and the the particular husband that she had was, I personally think, was very much beta. And so I didn't pick these things up, or these ideas, or gain any of this knowledge through father to son kind of a scenario. So I had to pick it up later on in life, and I learned these things later on in life. And I'll say this one thing: there is a passage by Bruce Lee in the about martial arts. He talks about the martial arts in this sense. He says, before knowing the art, this is martial arts, I always thought a punch was a punch and a kick was a kick. After studying the art, I realized a punch is not just a punch, and a kick is not just a kick. Now that I understand the art, a punch is a punch and a kick is a kick. And if you understand, if you get what I've said, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This full circle, you come full circle, where you initially think that something is quite simple. Then you realize this thing that you thought it was simple is actually quite complex, and there's so many moving parts, and there's so many things involved. But once you fully realize the things that you're doing, and fully embrace and almost becoming one with the techniques, then it's actually quite simple. It's as simple as the first day that you thought it was simple, but now you have knowledge behind that, what appears to be simple, or what you make it to look simple. This is you can see this within jiu-jitsu artists, massively. If you watch great jiu-jitsu artists do their thing, like the Gracies, the Machados, they make it look so simple, but there's so much going on in what they're doing. What the novice individual sees is very simple. Oh, he just flipped him and he just grabbed his arm and he's got an armbar. Whilst the more experienced person knows all the individual parts, all the individual moves that took place, the grabs, the holds, the sweep, all the rest leading to that armbar or to that choke, whilst the novice never sees that. They just see it as this what appears to be quite simple, and that's what it is. That's what pickup artistry is. A lot of people say these things to people who struggle with, or young men who struggle to approach women. Oh, just be confident. Oh, just have some self-esteem. Like confidence and self-esteem are like, you can go to the grocery and pick up a pound of self-esteem and a kilo of confidence. You can't just buy these things. You can't just pick them up. You have to acquire them over a period of going through the trials and tribulations of actually putting in the work, putting in the effort. The confidence is the result of the work that you have done that has built up to, or the result of multiple small successes that you've acquired, which has now given you that confidence that you are where you are at the time. So you have all of that, what came before, giving you that backup. So you know what you've gone through, you know the crucibles and the gauntlets that you've run, and that gives you the confidence that you have. So confidence isn't something you're just going to go pick up a pound of or a kilo of confidence off the shelves. So when people say just be confident, it's the most useless advice that a person could give to anyone. It is the most vacuous, useless advice that anyone could give, because it tells you nothing, it gives you nothing, it informs you of nothing, and it doesn't even give you the steps to build on something. It's vacuous in its totality. Never tell anyone just be confident. You're giving them nothing. You might as well just tell them, oh, just go breathe oxygen. That's at least oxygen has some use in that person's life. They can at least learn how to maybe breathe more efficiently or more deeply. But to tell them to go and have confidence is just totally useless and vacuous. Confidence comes from a lifetime of effort. It comes from a place where you did something that gave you that confidence that you have now, because you have that behind you. You have those trials and tribulations and those experiences that have led you to this place. How do you get that? Well, that's where the work comes in. That's where you have to approach women. You have to go out and cold approach, I would say hundreds of women sometimes, just to get over certain anxieties that people have, social anxieties, approach anxieties, all of the anxieties that are built up in a young man's mind. You just say, yeah, you are allowed to go to this bar, this club, this location, this social gathering, and you're allowed to fail approaching all of the women here. That is fine. Go and fail. But through that failure, you will learn so much. And these were the things that, I'll be honest, I had to learn through things like the game. But I don't want to labor this too much, because that's just going into the game so much. What I want to just simply say is that the manosphere and the game, these all have now built up with a new sort of blood, if you like. Unfortunately, in that group, as always, there are always charlatans. There are always people who are going to try to use this to make a quick buck. These two individuals are one of those charlatans. These are a podcast called Fresh and Fit. They have very controversial sort of behavior on their show, where they invite a bunch of good-looking women, usually found in like Instagram, where they tell them, you can come on our podcast and you can expand your profile. We have several 100,000 subscribers, and we have several thousands, tens of thousands of viewers, and you can come and boost your profile on our podcast. But then when the women go onto their podcasts, though, these guys kind of treat them very rudely and shitty, and they tend to try to kick them out, and they seem to sort of eject these women off their podcast very quickly if the women are behaving in any way confrontational towards these two guys, and these two guys also claim that they lived the Miami rich man's life, and it's been found that this guy, this Myron guy, who's got the sort of the taller guy out of the two, he's apparently on a sugar daddy site, picking up women on the sugar daddy sites. Clearly, they know what the deal is. And this other guy, this is just embarrassing. There's just so many embarrassing things that they do. They're both certainly far from anything what's considered alpha male. But again, I am not liminal cucks. Ned knows. Ned knows already. So I'm glad that you guys are well informed. So yeah, now I'm going to move on to this individual, which is Jackmurphy. Jackmurphy went on a podcast and was talking about various things, because he's now, by the way, the 21 convention is also another convention that's surrounded with pickup artistry, the manosphere as a whole, male improvement, etc., etc. So again, this is all surrounding the modern manosphere. I come from this era. I come from Neil Strauss, Matador, J-Dog, and Mystery. I come from that era, which is like circa 2010, 2007 to 2012, that sort of period. Myself, I was more into it around 2011. I came on board, if you like. But this is circa 2007, early 2000s, shall we say. But this is the new modern face of the manosphere, if you will. These guys are pretty much a fraud. And then we come to this gentleman called Jackmurphy. Now, Jackmurphy considers himself, or sells himself, as some sort of male alpha guru who encourages men to become more alpha and to do alpha things. Unfortunately, and there it is, you see, Jackmurphy, Crisis of Masculinity, and he's talking to Dave Rubin all about that. And what happened was, what kickstarted a lot of this off is this scene, which I'm going to play for you, where he's on a podcast, and this young girl, her name is Sydney something or other, Sydney Watson, she's reading out super chats, basically. She's reading out super chats, and they're some of them are coming in about some controversial topic that Jackmurphy himself doesn't want to talk about. Now, I'm going to be fair on this, because the clip that I'm about to show you cuts out this first segment. This Sydney lady reads out a super chat of someone who talks about him writing some sort of cockholding article. He then diverts and tries to sort of pass that on, but then she asks a second time with a second super chat who talks about the cockholding article, and this is his reaction on the second time he's asked the same question that he doesn't want to answer.
Clear up the cuck article you wrote.
I am not going to talk about this.
Okay.
And basically, you know what? Fuck you for bringing this up right here and right now. Why are you doing this to me?
I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was.
Well, just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
Sorry, apologies.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me just...
fuck you.
Elizabeth.
Heartfelt.
Elizabeth.
Fuck you, heartfelt. He felt really, really slighted by this. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Looking at this one clip, this is why I had to explain the previous clip, because I can't be asked to go through all these different clips and just get all the clips and stuff and play them all. So if you look at the first clip, if you actually look at this podcast in its whole, then you will see the first question that she asked him about the same subject, and he didn't. He didn't want to answer it, and then she went into made some jokes about chickens, because cocks and cockholding, about it's good that you have your own chicken. It's not about his chicken, okay? He's choking the chicken, but it's nothing about chickens actually running around. This is no free range farm he's running here. The reality of this came out here. This is an article he wrote a long time ago. Cultivating erotic energy from a surprising source. Today I sent my adoring, loyal, hot young girlfriend of 2 years to have sex with a stranger from Tinder. She is currently at his apartment checked in with me via text and is presumably sucking and fucking her way to a good time. I'm alone writing. Couldn't be happier. Now this man charges, I think somewhere around $100 a month to teach other young men how to be an alpha male. And he wrote this blog or article or whatever during his time after he divorced his wife, when he went off on some wild, crazy, kinky cuckolding adventure. And apparently, not only this article is only this is like a photocopy of it because, this is like a picture I got off the internet, because he apparently has completely removed this and he's trying to kind of distance himself from all of this. And unfortunately, Jackmurphy is not going to get very far because the internet never forgets. And he's also apparently made some videos, porn videos, on Chatterbait where he gets pegged, or I don't know how to put it. Basically, it's where Modine has bought some dildos for his wife, and then when his wife told him to return it, he only returned 2 out of the 3. He kept the third one. That's basically what Jackmurphy did in porn. He kind of did porn films where his girlfriend or whatever woman he was with was inserting things into him. He's done out here. That is... Yeah, this is the problem. You see, when you try to sell men how to be manly men and how to be alpha men, fucked up. Yes, John Smith. Yes, effed up the arse. So when you're trying to teach men how to be alpha men, and then you've got porn videos where a woman is rogering you with some giant, I don't know, strap on, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to sell alpha on that level, and that's where this whole thing comes to a bit of a issue, is that his entire brand is around alpha males doing alpha things. We do not take shit from women. We tell women what we want and we get what we want because we live the high value life, because we are the 1% high value men and we are alpha. But in secret, I like watching my girl get fucked by a giant guy with big muscles, and then afterwards I do some porn where she pegs me. That's the reality of this whole thing, is that unfortunately this alpha male of alphas likes a little bit of pegging. Now the thing is, in all honesty, nobody would care. Nobody should care. This is his kinkiness. That's the kinky shit he likes to do. That's his thing. Go ahead and do it. The problem is, he's trying to hide all this now. And he's trying to backtrack even on apologizing to this young girl for telling her to fuck you.
The cuck article you wrote.
I am not going to talk about
Again?
this.
Okay.
And basically, you know what? Fuck you for bringing this up right here.
There you go. See, that's the reason most people went after him. They went after him because he acted like a douche, and he just basically attacked the girl who appears on the face of it. Now, she may be smarter than that. She may have read this out twice because she knew that this is going to rile him up and they're going to get a lot. I mean, let's be honest. This I don't even know who the fuck this Sydney girl was until now, and this shit is now running through the internet like crazy. So. This could be a very sly little thing that these guys did in order to rally up some attention towards their podcast and towards their profile, or she innocently read a super chat out twice, and this guy got pissed, Jackmurphy. But in all honesty, it's all on Jackmurphy. I mean, Jackmurphy himself should have been alpha male enough to say, yeah, I went through a period where I had this kinky thing. I like to watch my girlfriend get rogered by other men, and I enjoyed a little tickle of my prostate, and I enjoyed having my girlfriend milk my prostate, which is a thing, by the way. And you should have just been open about it and but I realized that wasn't really the alpha thing to be. I realized that in order to have a more fulfilling life as an alpha, having dildos in my ass is just not going to sell well. So it's best not to promote that. So I just, I walked away from it. Anyway, that's the totality of the story of this, is that this is where we are now. Now, this is where I want to open up the panel to other men, possibly Ned or others who would wish to come on. Now, I know there was somebody in the back chat waiting to jump on, but unfortunately, I was unable to let you on because I couldn't let you guys on just now. I'm gonna pin this thing. So yeah, I wanna get some thoughts, get some ideas, get some opinions of other people who may or may not be interested in this subject. So if you are interested and you want to discuss anything in the manosphere, the Jackmurphy thing, the advice that they give, etc., etc., I am happy to go with this. Okay, what is this? Multiple people. Aha. Admit and admit. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Ned. Good evening, Beyond. Are you guys with me? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here as well.
Aha. Okay. Okay. Good, good, good. Sorry, guys. I just have to switch my headphone settings because microphone, headphone. Sorry. Okay. Can you guys talk just so I can see if I can hear you?
Yeah.
Yep. I can hear you fine.
There's
John Smith, welcome.
Do be a little bit circumspect, because apparently there have been writs have been flying.
Writs? What writs? What do you mean?
Well, apparently, I think that has been some legal action resulting from this elsewhere on the internet.
Well, I mean, he can go ahead and come after a tiny little channel like mine, but I'm not sure how much.
No.
How much he's gonna get. The total sum of nothing is still nothing.
He was earning. Well, the thing is that there was big money, and I don't know whether people have withdrawn, but apparently the figure of 37,000 was.
What, as in he's lost that much money, or
a month?
He was making that kind of money a month. Wow, that's some good earnings. That's you can't.
Was that until he openly admitted that he got pegged?
Ah, that's Hopsky, my man. I didn't realize that was you. I just realized it's my main man, Hopsky. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, obviously his brand was all about this male macho-ness. Me, man. You, woman, you do as I say. Except when you stick it in my ass, and then I'm not so much man. I am more woman. But yeah, I mean, I presume his brand was all about that shit. Was all about me, man. But chest beating, and then he got caught, having literally be the most beta male that there is, as far as I'm concerned, which is a cockhold. I can't possibly imagine a more beta than a cockhold.
I don't know whether you read the article, but the article did actually say that his wife was going out, and that this was a new sort of adventure that he wanted her to go out. And I don't know whether he actually wanted to watch her perform.
Well, it says in the little clip that I've got that his girlfriend, not wife, I think this all happened when he got married. When he got divorced, and then this little adventure into cuckoldingness sort of emerged for him.
Yeah, but I mean, define cuckolding, because obviously, I mean, just because you enjoy watching your woman being having sex with another man.
Yeah.
Does that necessarily mean you're a cuckold?
No, that is a very definition of cuckolding. Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. I'm not saying it's even a bad thing, but that is exactly what it is. Cuckolding is you watching your wife having sex.
An impotent male that you have to farm out your woman.
No. It's not necessarily even that. It's not that you don't get an erection or you can't get it off. It's that you get off on watching her get off. I mean,
Yeah,
think of it this way. Think of it this way. If it was two women, let's say your partner, your wife, and another woman, and you as a threesome, and then you were watching that other woman go down on your wife in like a your ideal porn sex scene, uh, would that be cockholding? Technically, it wouldn't. You would still be in a threesome, but if you enjoyed her getting off with that other woman, is that really cockholding? I don't know. But I can guarantee you 99.9% of men have had some fucking fantasies in their head of their girlfriend and another girl getting off whilst they're, I don't know, licking one
being
of the,
fucked.
or just watching the two of them do it, and then he gets involved, a little bit later. But this is a 100% male fantasy. You're a fucking liar if you tell me that in your mind at some point you haven't thought about that shit, because that kind of porn sells every day, all day.
Yeah, but
Well, look,
this is something
sorry,
that's a lot older. This is about 300 or 400 years ago. Shakespeare spoke about this a lot. There was a lot of men that couldn't perform. Now, the only way that you could actually make money back in the day was to actually pass on your wealth to your son or your inheritance. Now, if you couldn't perform and you couldn't have kids, you had nobody to hand your wealth over to. So sometimes what would actually happen is that you'd get another man to do the business for you.
No, so to have a son.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the kings, King William the Second, I think, they reckon that they put a baby in the bed. He was cuckolded. That he couldn't. He was William. I think it was William the Second. He was actually gay, and he couldn't get it up. And so they actually got somebody to do the business. And I understand that Catherine the Great was the same.
Wow, that's interesting.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, it's okay. I just want to quickly say the problem is I want to speak to Sky, but I don't want to bring her on this conversation. This conversation is not really the kind of conversation I want Sky in on. Okay, Sky, I will talk to you a bit later, my love. I'm sorry, but I think this conversation is just inappropriate.
Well, even if a man suffers from premature ejaculation, yeah, that means that at least he can insert his penis into a woman and actually come. The longevity of the actual act doesn't really mean anything, but as long as the man can come inside the woman's pussy, he can impregnate her.
Yeah, but there's some men that can't. There's some men that can't. There are some men that can't.
They just can't get it up.
Well, then
you guys talking about impotency. I thought this was something about being alpha and shit like that. I just thought, were you guys talking about this topic? I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, Beyond. Go on.
I don't mind. I'm just messing about, bro.
No. But you agree that the impotency thing has been around a long time. This is not new.
Of course, I agree what you're saying. Definitely true.
But the thing is, this whole business isn't about impotency anyway. This is about this is a fetish for men to have effectively watch their wives or their partner, their girlfriend, have sex with someone else. It's a kink.
I don't know what that fetish is about, bro. To be honest.
Well, Rikita Law actually makes a suggestion. He wonders whether Jack Murphy is not gay. He wonders about his sexuality.
Well,
and all of this is actually, if you actually look, a lot of the porn that he actually done centers around the anus. Right.
Yeah,
if you've seen any of the porn, it's about sort of licking the chocolate starfish.
Oh, this is about tossing salad and stuff.
Do you know what it is, bro? Yeah. You know when it comes to being alpha, yeah, not everyone knows what it is, and there's a lot of people who are confused. And like this guy sounds like one of those people. You know, like he's confused.
Yeah, but his whole brand and his whole shtick is selling alpha attitude, alpha male behavior.
Next generation of alpha males, and he's charging big bucks for it. $99 a month, and he was apparently somebody sort of revealed some of the details of this. Apparently, allegedly, he was making $37,000 a month from it.
He was making $37,000 a month.
Yeah, US, and yeah, and big bucks. Not now though. And the thing is, he was selling this thing that we're making these macho alpha males, and in fact, maybe he wasn't. He was talking the talk, but he wasn't walking the walk. If you follow my meaning.
So hold on. I'm a little. Look, I only heard about this guy. I only heard about this guy the other day on Charles. Do you know Banksy? Do you know Charles Veach?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I only heard about this guy the other day on Charles Beach, and I didn't really read too much into it. And I just got a little sort of inkling as to what this guy is about. So basically, my man is trying to promote himself as an alpha male.
Yeah, and a trainer of alpha males. Yeah, he was going to make you, the beta, into the most alpha that had ever alphaed.
So an alpha male, their primary purpose is to basically impregnate as many women as they can.
No,
not impregnate.
No. What he actually reckoned had happened because of feminism, that men have been emasculated. That if you actually look at woke and sort of what's happened with sort of equality and feminism and all that, everything has been completely sort of, men have been effeminized, right? And what he's actually saying is that men have to reassert themselves. They've got to become the men that they were in the 1950s. That doesn't mean sort of beating women up or but just becoming men. And that's what he was having, like, training sessions.
That's what he was promoting, but there was a contrary sort of evidence to suggest otherwise, because he's trying to promote being an alpha male, but he's getting pegged at the same time.
Well, this is the thing. If you're selling alpha male sort of as your product, and then you're getting pegged in the ass, it's hard to kind of sell alpha male when
because an alpha male wouldn't want anything up his arse.
Well, the thing is, it's not necessarily the case, because obviously sexual preferences and sexual kinks are nothing to do with being alpha or not being alpha.
You can't take it up the arse if you're alpha. 100%.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
No, 100%.
Is it really?
No, 100%, bro. Look, listen to me. Yeah, I'm a guy, right? I can get a lot of things. Let me tell you, I can just get.
Thank you for telling us the obvious, but crack on.
I'm telling you, right? I can get a lot of girls, right? I know about being alpha. You can't take it up the bum, and that's what I'm saying. These guys don't know what it is. That no one knows what it. The thing is, yeah, no one knows what it is. That's why there's all these fake people out there. But yeah.
Okay. Can I just say this, right? And I'm just speaking hypothetically here, because if a woman gives you a blowjob and sticks her finger up your bum, does that make you gay?
I mean, it doesn't make you gay, but it's certainly not an alpha. This is the problem. This is the problem, because people have these preconceptions of what alpha males are. Now, I will tell you this: the key qualities for alpha males are. Sorry, hold on. Let me just flick this, because I want to make sure that I don't get porn bombed. Good evening, Mr. Shall I call out your name? Your name is here. Is this Flexi?
Yes. What's happening? This is Flexi Stuart O'Carroll. How we doing?
How's it going, Flexi? Okay. Give me a second. Let me just get this thing out of my mouth. Now the concepts of alpha male are simply these. These were the ones that at least I was taught. Leader of men. Abundance of women, or abundancy, general abundance, but abundance of women is really what they mean, and protector of loved ones. So these are the three main qualities: leader of men, protector of loved ones, and abundance with females.
According to who?
This is just the general concept of what even women consider alpha male.
Yeah, but what dictionary are you getting that from?
No, there's no dictionary definition. This is just if you look in a dictionary, it simply talks about pack animals, and the pack animal, the alpha male is the
hunter.
Yeah, is the strongest.
My point exactly. I would say that's a term that's for animals. That humans, we work differently.
Exactly.
I was trying to explain to a bird this morning about how, like, being a scumbag, when I went into ballet school, I thought it'd be easy girly stuff, but I didn't realize that it's actually hyper masculinity is the male side of ballet dance. It's what princes were taught to do with sword fighting. So, have you seen the new Kingsman movie, Rasputin? That's well, you see that the Cossacks, the special units of Russia at the time, were all ballet trained. So, yeah, hyper masculinity can sometimes even appear to be feminine. So alpha stuff, if you're talking about animals and that, but if you're talking about humans, we work differently.
Well, this is the thing. This is what I mean. I mean, that's why I'm not appealing to the dictionary definition of an alpha male in the sense that we're not. I mean, we are to some extent hierarchical. No, not just to some extent. We definitely are hierarchical animals, but we're not operating on the same pack mentality or lion's den type of mentality in general social society.
The humans at the bottom do. The humans at the top have got like more options.
But then that's the thing. That's the other thing about it is because these guys they've mixed up all of these different concepts of alpha male also should equate to being part of the 1% desirable men. So you would not only their concept of being an alpha male is also high value male. Now, to be honest with you, not all of these things necessarily always line up. I can show you alpha males who are 100% alpha.
Not in the mirror, you can't.
No. I mean, in this country, even I've got friends of mine who are hyper alpha males as far as their personality type is concerned. Well, they're alpha male in the sense that they take control of their life, their finances, as far as their business is concerned, and as far as the way they run their lives, they are alphas. But they're not necessarily super rich. Do you know what I mean? So they don't have that wealth option, or they don't have that massive amount of wealth that some of these women are talking about, especially these women that go on these shows like Fresh and Fit. They talk about, they need a guy who at least earns $200,000 a year, which is an equivalent of like £170,000 a year in the UK money. Now, how many men really earn that kind of money? It's a tiny percentage, even in this country.
Children care about things like that. That sounds like children's concern. Grown men know that money comes and goes. You know, everything comes and goes.
But these are women. These are women who say the man that they want to go with minimum has to make that kind of money.
Tell us what alpha male is about.
Yeah, but this is the thing. They're not talking about alpha males. They're talking about what they refer to as high value men. Now,
the thing is about like being alpha, is that it starts from the inside, right? It's coming from the inside. It's a very real concept, right? It hasn't been seen, but it's a very real concept because what it does, right, is you're basically drawing people towards you, right? Especially women, because they're easier to draw, right?
Exactly.
Every guy, listen, every human wants to draw people and be.
An alpha man ain't worried about women or money. That's children's shit. That's women's shit.
Well, this is the thing, though.
You come from my position, bro.
Yeah, a child position.
Yeah, but the thing is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Flexi. If you say that they're adolescent sort of mindsets, the fact is that a lot of women, especially women in their 20s, are looking for those things.
Children.
Yeah, but the thing is, it all depends on what you want. Most of the time, most of the time, if you want a woman to be of child rearing or childbirthing prime years, you're looking at a woman in her 20s. Women in their 30s, but women in their 30s and 40s are not prime.
Saying you was me today. No, forgive me. No, you might be. I'm not.
No, but Flexi. You may not be looking for a woman that can birth children for you or healthy children for you. Maybe you're looking for different reasons for a woman. But what I'm saying is, if you're a man who's looking for a woman to give you healthy children, you're looking at a woman in her either mid to late 20s, maximum early 30s, 30, 31.
That's a that's a very good point.
No, but that's the reality because women have a biological clock. You can't escape this reality. It is simple fact.
That's true, but that's not the point of being alpha, right? You see, alpha is like imagine in a monkey, right? Any animal, all humans are group animals, right? we kind of want to be in groups, social groups, right? Basically, like you say, you got a business, right? It's gonna have someone who's a CEO at the top, but that's a business, right? We're talking about human groups, right? So the person who's the leader of the group, who attracts a group here, he's the alpha, but he has to attract people to his goals, right, and attract it to himself. And the easiest people to attract are women, right? So once you attract women, you can attract other men, right? But the guy who can attract people,
rubbing aloe vera all over himself,
coming back to him, right? That's what makes it. That's the beginning of the group.
Yeah.
So humans.
Yeah. The thing is, you got to understand.
What bloody hell's going on here? What is
he's
this?
rubbing aloe vera. It's aloe vera.
I'm trying to.
He's
exfoliating.
He's exfoliating with aloe vera.
Ned.
It's okay. It's okay.
Explain or you want to talk about
it's aloe vera, dude. We know what it is. It's okay.
It's medical. Right?
It's moisturizing.
And if you want me explaining it, yeah, you've got to be quiet first. So, who is it, Ned, you say?
With a vegetable knife.
Yeah, he's aloe vera. He's just rubbing aloe vera.
With a melon. Right.
It's not a melon. It's aloe vera.
That really makes you an alpha male, does it?
Oh no, Flexi, am I right? Flexi, is it aloe vera?
Should we make notes of this?
Wait, who's talking? Who's talking?
It's aloe vera,
and where's
right?
your tool?
No, Flexi.
This
it's
is
aloe
a Mexican
vera.
Aloe vera leaf, yeah?
Yeah. That's it. That's exactly what I thought.
About to eat it, and I'm also applying it to my
world.
There you go.
If you care to see
It's
anything
moisturizer.
other than somebody eating and doing a treatment, I question your masculinity.
Yeah, it's healthy.
You an alpha male.
It's perfectly healthy.
Right. Ned, I'm trying to detract.
Okay, you see exactly because an alpha male would not be distracted by another man rubbing himself down on camera with aloe vera leaf.
Wait. It's about eating it, mate. I was not wasting the rind, right?
Yeah. That's all good.
I'm not as wasteful as some people.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
When I cook a fish, you know what I mean? Their head don't go in the bin. That goes in the soup.
There you go.
Ned.
Look, guys, let's not get sidetracked.
What's your name?
Let's not get sidetracked. You guys are all getting sidetracked now. Let's just carry on with the subject at hand. Now,
Ned.
go on.
Okay,
go on, Hopsky.
I was going to say, look, if Stuart stood up and started to rub milk on his testicles, then I'd have a problem.
Yeah, unfortunately, we would have to cut the camera at that point because that's against the terms and services of YouTube. I can't.
That's when the paywall comes in, is it?
I've got no problem.
That would be considered porn bombing at that stage.
I've got no problem with Stuart covering himself in aloe vera.
It's all right. Let him do that. That's okay.
No problem with that.
That's just moisturizing. That's like conditioner.
That's what alpha males do, is it?
Well, you know.
Mate, I'm not in that game because that's a child game. That's a woman game, and it sounds like this Ned has got wide cross.
Ned, terrible man.
Okay, guys.
It sounds like you're confused at what's going on here.
No, we're getting sidetracked.
Estrogen in your food?
Yeah, no, you tell me. You really listen. You ought to start charging for this, right? Like $99 a month.
Go to OnlyFans. Go to OnlyFans. You're on the wrong platform. You're on the wrong platform, buddy.
Sorry, is that you speaking as an alpha male? Is it?
Wait, what are you talking about, mate? You sound very feminine in them questioning, mate.
No.
Are you trying to check me out or something?
Gracious.
Mega Cossack.
Have you never been to somewhere where it's not exciting for a man to have not a shirt on? Is that something? Are you very British? Have you ever been to somewhere?
We're very stiff upper lip.
Some sun. Is that the problem? You need a bit of sun.
That's actually it.
Taken aback.
What?
Some guy just suddenly sort of strips off and starts.
You sound excited, mate. Don't be. Calm down. Breathe.
No, you make.
Remember,
it's a very, very British thing.
I'm afraid to say.
It is a very British thing that we get thrown when we see men with their shirt off.
Maybe you do, but don't include me in that, yeah, because as a gentleman, I know how to be around men and not be excited. Like I was training some boys earlier, and they're fighters. Everyone took our shirts off before we trained. No one got excited.
Obviously,
everyone stayed calm.
Haven't I?
All right, let's go back to the
So
convo.
yeah. Let's take it back. We're getting sidetracked, guys.
Who's the other man in here? Who's the other man? John? Who's John?
John is Hopsky. Ned,
listen,
Beyond Atheism.
Bro, I've got no problem with you stripping down your shirt and smothering. I've got no problem with that at all.
There you go. In that case, let's get back to the manosphere.
No, I just wanted to say that let's move on from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Covering your skin. I've got no issue with that, and I just really wanted to keep the.
It's probably a little bit jarring, I have to admit.
No, it's not even jarring.
Women and children. Men shouldn't be excited about this.
It's a little bit unusual.
I wanted to let you carry on with what you was doing.
I did. It was Ned's fault. He dragged this thing. He suddenly saw a man rubbing watermelon leaves on himself. You see, he didn't know it was aloe vera. He thought it was watermelon.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible.
And so he got it all backwards.
When you allow beta males
You see, that's what happens, Ned. Ned, you stop being beta and get your alpha balls out.
Hey, have you boys seen the Kingsman movie, the new one?
No, we haven't. I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen that one. I gotta
see. That's one we're seeing, mate.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Rasputin in it. It's one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. It's impeccable.
Nice.
And I was trying to explain to a fella about how like the Cossack training was brought into some of modern ballet and the way that the say special forces training that bled into breakdancing foundation as well from Cossacks is it's completely martial. It's a completely martial dance.
Yeah.
And danced on two legs.
No. You know the Cossacks and well, if you look at Cossacks, Georgian, Tajikistan, that sort of style of dancing. In fact, Iranians have a little bit as well from the Turkish. It's actually hyper masculine dancing. They dance with knives and swords, and they clash with knives and swords. And they actually have a technique where the men stand on their toes without any assistance. You know, ballet dancers have these special shoes which have got those special toes. Well, the men do it on the toes with just bare socks. Like nothing, no wooden carvings or any shit like that. You should check out Cossack. Well, not Cossack, but Georgian.
That's pretty hardcore because when I trained in classical ballet, men don't go on point at all. If you're above 150 pounds, even as a female,
one at a time, guys.
Because on point, it really damages the feet.
Yeah.
Men would go on to half point. If you're above 150 pounds, you shouldn't really be going on point. The feet aren't designed for that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. These guys do that, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I'm looking at it right now. And that's some impressive shit.
Yeah. Ladzinka, I think it's called Ladzinka, something like that.
I was telling this lad, that I was training, he's a doorman, and he was trying to say, how can ballet be martial? And I said, that's because you're a front liner in the football. All you know is pushing, right? That there's different requirements when it comes to turning. And if you've got blades in both hands, you don't need much pressure. So it's a very different...
Balance is much more important than... just brute force. So yeah, I can see that.
Pushing with blunt, then it's a very different requirement, and the specialty of like the officers and the special forces is a completely different thing than the frontliners.
These guys are better than a fucking South Korean pop group. Let me tell you that. Fucking hell, man! These guys are on point.
You're watching some
Rasputin in the Kingsman movie.
Yeah,
that fight scene is incredible. It's so well executed. What's his name? Matthew Vaughn. Incredible.
Interesting. Okay, guys. Unfortunately, Beyond dropped off, so we lost him.
Who's that boy then? What was he on about?
Beyond. He's not that young. He's probably in his 30s. But I mean, generally, I just want to get back to some of the drama.
Ned's probably the oldest person here.
I don't know. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I probably am. Yeah. No. And not only am I old, but I'm also a beta male.
Well, you're the.
At least 65.
You're the no. There's no way Ned is 60. I'd say he's probably in his 40s, possibly 50s, but I don't think he's even that. I think you'll be surprised. You might find Ned to be actually much younger than you guys make out. But
12.
You never know. You never know. But he is. I think the only one here that is actually in a marriage relationship. I don't know about the other guys. I don't know Flexi. Flexi, are you married? Okay, he's just thinking.
Once
Okay.
I was married once.
There you go. So he's divorced, and
No, different. I'm a widower.
And, you're a widow.
Oh,
sorry about that. Okay, so Flexi is widowed, and Hopsky, John, are you divorced now, or are you just?
I'm a 50-year-old divorcee.
There you go. And I myself have never been married, so we're all. I'd say Ned is the only one with a stable relationship amongst all of us. So we can't knock it. He's doing something right.
Yeah, but hold up a second. I mean, sort of just think about that. There's so many men now that are not attached, right? I mean, if you're talking about the manosphere, shouldn't you have a partner?
Well, not necessarily.
I don't want to be attached.
Well, it's not that. It's just it's not a necessity to be in a relationship to still, acquire certain advice or certain knowledge and wisdom from the years that you spend. Especially a lot of the men actually in the manosphere are divorcees, so they're actually warning younger men about the perils of marriage and divorce courts and the kind of thing that they can lose.
I put it to you that that's the problem with society. That if you actually look at American men look at alpha. Their view of alpha males is a man with a family that's raising a family in. I don't know whether it's in.
I think that's the problem. I think the problem is that you look at
hold on. Sorry, Flexi. Allow Flexi. Pause.
British gentlemen had a tradition
Flexi. Pause.
More than one wives in their lives.
Oh my God, Flexi.
And you just jump in.
Flexi. Pause. Yeah. Ned has to finish. Okay, Ned, please.
American men again.
Ned, you've got the floor. Go on.
Thank you very much. Thanks. The only point that I'm actually making, if you look at Americans when they're talking about this, what they're actually saying is that the traditional man, right, that like the man that had the family, that raised a family, the family that's under threat, and as a result of that, American society, and we all take it for granted. We've just gone around that table, and you're not attached. You've got two other gentlemen here that are divorced. Isn't that an indictment on our society and the position of men? Isn't that what we should be sort of fighting to try and?
Can I answer that, please, brother?
Yeah. Hold on. Oh yeah, go on.
I would say that your society is not American society, and the problem is you're looking too much at American men, and that you're not looking at British gentlemen and the way that things are done in your society, and that you're a bit too worried with other societies. And that when you look at the British gentleman historically, I don't know about now, you'd have your first wife and then you'd have another wife later on. And that you'd get to, in your lifetime, be able to express yourselves in multiple different gentlemanly fashions. And that if one was to be too externally trying to assume what is going on in America via whatever media you're consuming it from, you might get led astray by certain hyper-feminized, over-masculinized, feminine, weird kind of politics. That's what I would assume.
I would disagree with that.
But I mean,
go on.
Would you say that it is true that, like, for example, the French had this understanding, especially with their spouses, that the husband would certainly be loyal to the family, but he may have a mistress somewhere, and
then again, you're
it's a
looking at
perfectly acceptable.
And you're assuming shit about like stuff. I mean, I've lived in France as well. My mother's father was a Frenchman, but I mean, I can't fucking, excuse me for swearing. I can't talk about the French because I'm not one of them.
No, but what I mean is we're talking in general. Different societies had different levels of sort of understanding and acceptance when it comes to their partners.
France have the same sort of lifestyle as the peasants in everywhere. That the aristocracy in northern France and southern France, there's so many varieties that we could really talk about there. But it would seem that the gentlemen, the ones who could afford to have more than one wives, would.
Well, not necessarily have more than one wife, because Christianity prohibited that, but they would have a wife and a mistress, and that was considered to be perfectly acceptable in that society, to have that kind of lifestyle, because, like you said, and this is the fact that this is the problem that a lot of women in America and in Europe are finding difficulty to sort of understand, is that when they look for that 1% man. And this is exactly what you said, Flexi, about the aristocracy of French. When they go for that 1% group of men, they have to realize they will cheat, because that 1% group of men have a plethora of options. And this is exactly with the aristocracy of the French, where the aristocracy, the men who were in the court, in the king's court, were the 1%. They were the 1% men.
Can we be sort of educated men in this very sort of simple sense, in that we all know that the aristocracy is aristocracy. Queen Victoria was the grandmother of the King of England, the King of Germany, and the Tsar of Russia. So the aristocracy, irrelevant of which country we're talking about, is aristocracy.
No. But what I'm saying is that what's considered to be the aristocracy back in the day, with the people who were in the king's court or the queen's court, are now have been transferred effectively to what we call the 1% men. So the men in that 1% percentile range of high earners, high valued men, were back in the day would have been considered those who were who had access to the court, to the king or the queen's court. Yeah. So now we don't have the we don't have really that level of aristocracy. We don't really have the kind of monarchy the way it used to be, but, and especially in America, where they don't have any monarchy at all. So what has happened is they've become, the aristocracy effectively is the Hollywood celebrities,
maybe.
But the politicians, I mean, let's be honest, that's what most people look at as like a high value individual.
What they look at actually what is true, though.
But it's look, we're looking at it from a perspective of an average girl who wants to go
Who cares
with
what an average girl thinks? That isn't
but that's the whole conversation, the whole debate, the whole thing about the manosphere is that there are women who in their 20s who want to go with high value men. The high value men who they consider to be high value is someone who at least earns of about $200,000 and above. Who cares what 20-something-year-old women want? 20-something-year-old men. That's what who cares. Lots of men. But Flexi, you are weird. Flexi, this conversation, this entire subject line is about men who are advising younger men on how to get high-level women. That's the whole manosphere. That's the whole conversation. Is because, dude, you entered this conversation. Now you're arguing about why we're talking about this conversation.
I'm not arguing about that. Forgive me, right? What I'm saying is, why would one care about such childish concerns?
That is what,
and get into a conversation which is very feminine.
I know, but that is the conversation.
About masculinity. If you're going to be talking about masculinity, can we do it in a not so feminine manner?
Okay then. Okay.
Well, according to your definition.
So if you'd like to expand upon that and go head to head with me, trust me, you'll fall over.
Can you let somebody else get a word in?
Yeah. Okay, go on, Ned. Let Ned have the floor for a minute.
Clearly.
Let somebody else talk for a minute. No,
because the truth is,
hold on,
Flexi. In your manner, but very feminine.
Flexi, hold on. Let Ned have his time.
Do it like a gentleman.
Okay.
Don't do it like a woman.
Okay. Hold on. Flexi, just pause for a minute. Go on, Ned.
No problem.
Right. What the point I'm at?
No, but why are you pausing this fella? Like, so he can be all like
Look,
feminine?
look, everybody gets some moments. Let him have his moment. It's not very alpha to actually interrupt other people.
No,
Pardon me.
This guy's
I
not
apologise.
about alpha. He's about he's nutty.
What'd you say?
Yeah. The thing
Let's
is,
go. Let's go. Let him go. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Let him
nuts.
If we're looking at
Hold on.
if we're looking at the manosphere, as the way that I understand it, there's an awful lot of professional young men that don't feel that they have a position in society anymore. That their traditional role in society is gone. Now, I'm not saying that we have to go back to the 1950s, but we need to redefine men, and the man's position in and that's what I understand the manosphere to be about. I know what you're saying. You know that program which was a load of women, Sex in the City. And they were sort of chasing after like Mr. Big, the ultimate alpha male. But the thing is, there's an awful lot of men, successfully men, and they don't have any role in society. They're being outperformed by women. They're being outperformed by women in the professional world, right? In law, in medicine, in education, right? In higher education. They're being outperformed. And the thing is that they are taking a subsidiary role in society. And an awful lot of men feel a bit anchorless. And that's what I understand the manosphere to be about. I might be wrong, though.
No, it's what I think it is that the manosphere, or the people who appear as gurus in this manosphere, are tapping into that exact thing that you just mentioned, Ned, in regards to men who are anchorless, men who don't feel they have a purpose. And so these guys, and this is where the grifters and the charlatans come in, is that these grifters and charlatans are actually taking advantage of men feeling weak in this way, especially young men, and they're just basically siphoning money off them. And they're not really providing them, or at least they provide them with hypothetical advice, because these men clearly, they themselves don't live the life that they profess for these young men to have. So when this is where all the controversy comes in, is that these guys like Jackmurphy talking about hypermasculinity and how to be a masculine man and an alpha male, and then you find that he was a cockholder who had his girlfriend, peg him on a regular basis on porn sites, which is a contradiction to everything he talks about. Well, this is the thing. We're talking about a gentleman called Jackmurphy. The problem is, I don't know.
Jordan Peterson, exactly the same.
Jordan Peterson, I don't know if you can put Jordan Peterson in the same category, because Jordan Peterson, he pulls from a lifetime of clinical psychology. And he's been a clinical psychologist for decades. He's written several, books long before he became famous.
Isn't he scratching the same itch?
No. He is, but he's not doing it from a position of trying to siphon money out of young men. He's simply giving them the kind of advice that he would have given any of his clients when he was a clinical psychologist. So but this advice that he gives is universal. He gives the same advice to women than he does to men. He's not just encouraging men to be more manly. He is simply pointing out what would be considered, what he looks at is chaos and stability. And the world of chaos is usually a feminine traits. They comprise of feminine traits. And stability and the traits that brings about stability tend to be masculine traits.
Very much so.
That's how he deals
gentlemen, with. I'm very much in a state of being called away. It's I don't have much time, so I'm going to have to say it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, Flexi.
I'm sorry if I've offended anyone.
It's all right.
And you know what? I think these are good conversations. It's very good to be having and for people to hear, and I'm glad that you're attempting it.
Exactly. I mean, this was something I wanted to talk about for ages, and I know there was other people who wanted to discuss it. But thanks for coming, Flexi, and thank you for aloe veraing yourself in front of us. It was.
God bless you. Goodbye.
Take care, mate. Have a good one. So yeah.
I would to pick up your point. I would actually say that Jackmurphy is trying. believes in what he says. He's not. I don't think he's a charlatan. You see, at the back of your assumption, I think there's this feeling that maybe he's a charlatan. I think that he firmly believes in what he's doing, and that he thinks that he's got some kind of an answer.
Well, this is I think where this is the problem with this sort of these gurus or these male sort of the gurus who've come through the manosphere. Is there is charlatans within them, and you're right that it could be that he is genuine and he believes what he believes, but his behavior is incongruent to his preaching.
He's been found out.
Exactly, and that's what's causing his problem, is that all this time he could be giving genuinely good advice to people. Young men could have genuinely been helped by his advice, but when you find that this is, to me, this is why I actually compare pickup artistry to martial arts so much. Is it's in the exact same way is that you practice a particular martial arts for decades on end, and then you find that your master, that your sensei, had his ass handed to him by like a kid in the streets.
Yeah, but surely isn't it the case that a lot of these people that made a lot of money 10 years ago as pickup artists, there's been a couple of people that have made a lot of money showing men how to actually pick up and woo women, right? But it turns out a lot of them have actually sort of, now they're turning around, now that they've made their pot of money, they've sort of said, this is ultimately empty. I know how to sort of wine and dine and woo a girl and get her into bed, right? And but I can't maintain the relationship, and I ultimately find it's that what I'm actually doing is just searching for the next one. Don't you see that a bit with Russell Brand? That Russell Brand actually sort of was women. He really was a babe magnet. Women were attracted to him, but he actually ultimately found what you've just describing there as ultimately empty, and that can't be a role model for men, can it?
Russell Brand himself even says that celebrity ended up being like dust in his mouth, that he yearned for this lifestyle. He chased it. He and he did okay out of it. He made some headway, and he became a bona fide celebrity, and he got all the drugs and all the women and all the things that he always dreamed about. But it was, ultimately hollow, and it was like dust in his mouth. It had no nutritional value. It's like the McDonald's for your soul. This is something actually my brother told me years ago, because he read a book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if you've read that book.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really good book, where this guy who was a high-flying lawyer, who had a Ferrari, who had all the lifestyle, suddenly in his 40s or 50s, early 50s, he suddenly fell on the floor with a heart attack. And the doctors told him, he's got tremendous levels of anxiety and all of that stuff, and he has to change his lifestyle, and he has to, become more healthy. Anyway, this led him to this sort of adventure of self-discovery, and he went to some monastery up in Nepal and all that shit, and he became a monk, and that's why it's called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, because he got rid of all that. I've
not read the book, but it's a great title, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sold His Ferrari. It's a great.
And it's literally that, because he became a monk, and he discovered, effectively, this is one of the lessons from the whole thing. I mean, there's a bunch of different lessons in the book, but one of the lessons that I took from it was, and this is what my brother took from it, is he says, invest in experiences more than things. We eat food to feed our body. Experiences feed our soul. When you go somewhere, now the difference is this, because I see people queuing up for the next iPhone or the next toy or the next, I don't know, PlayStation 5, literally sleeping in little tents outside the store, waiting to buy these products. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you, these products, eventually, they are extremely hollow. They're like the McDonald's for your soul. They give you a little bit of boost. They give you that I don't know, endorphin rush at the time when you unbox this magical device, but that feeling very quickly dissipates and disappears, and you're left yet again yearning for that feeling again, and thus you go out and buy something else. They literally call it retail therapy, because of that, because they know that
Yeah,
you
because
go out.
of the adrenaline rush you get when you buy something new.
Exactly. Exactly, and that little endorphin rush that your brain gives you, just like sex, effectively, or drugs. It just gives you that little hit, and you keep yearning for more hits. Now, the funny thing is, if you swap that iPhone or that PlayStation 5 for a vacation to some far off place, which that you experience new things, you see people of different cultures, of different variety of life, and you experience this, and you experience this moment in time where you're at a place where you would normally not go. That memory of that moment and that vacation or that trip will last 100 times longer, and will nourish you. Effectively, they use the expression "feeds your soul" lot longer than that iPod or that iPhone or that PlayStation 5.
I wonder what percentage of the population are actual Buddhists. I mean, I wonder how many people could actually become the monk who sold the Ferrari. I bet it's a very small percentage of the male population. Like 0.5 of, even if it's 0.5 of a percent. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
half. Because I think most people just want the instant hit. I'm probably guilty of that, but I mean,
No, we all do.
What you actually described about the monk who sold the Ferrari, right? That's Buddha's story. Buddha came from a very rich family. He lived in absolute luxury and he had everything. And he just ultimately realized, like Russell Brand, that it's empty. Like Sting, apparently Sting, exactly the same. He was a beautiful young man, really handsome young man. Women threw themselves at him. And the women, and it meant nothing to him. It meant absolutely nothing to him. It didn't mean it, But how many Stings are there? How many Russell Brands are there? I'm never going to have the looks of Russell Brand. I'm never going to have the intelligence of Sting. Much that I'd love it.
Exactly.
Right. So surely is that unattainable? That might exist for you because you're a smart guy. You're sort of smarter than I am, but so that might be attainable for you. But I wonder whether it's that kind of perfection where you actually go after an experience. I wonder whether I could actually live that. I wonder whether I could do that.
Well, I think, of course, you can. Everyone can. It's just, is it ultimately fulfilling to yearn and chase that? Because a lot of people chase celebrity or chase money and fame without recognizing that that is not going to actually be, that is not going to feed your soul. That is not going to fix the problems that you already have. And the money and the fame can sometimes even exacerbate those things. So in order to enjoy the money, and maybe even if you enjoy the fame, you should get all of this other issues in your life fixed, and then the money will give you the resources to enjoy life, to see the world. I mean, the whole point of having money is ultimately, up to a certain point, is to give you resources, to give you the finances to fly to anywhere you want to go, to take vacations whenever you want without being shackled to a job, and to experience life. Because ultimately, what's the point of all this? Is you have this one life, you may reproduce and get a lot of joy out of that, and generally live and enjoy this world, and then that's it. You die, you check out, and that's it. It's over. So if that, I mean, unless you're religious, obviously, then you have all this afterlife crap. But if you're not a religious person, then ultimately this world is it. And what are you doing? You're not gonna, they say no man on his deathbed wished he spent an extra hour at the office. So ultimately, you're making money to enjoy the world in which you live in, and that's the whole point of it. Anyway,
I would disagree. Look, you've got Real in the channel there, and what you've got with, let's say, you're looking at Real, somebody who is following he's trying to make he's trying to actually launch a stream. He's trying to actually sort of make the stream work. He's trying to make money from the stream. He's trying to be successful. So he is actually following a kind of dream. And in some ways, I would say that is an attribute of an alpha male. Right, it's not my dream, and if you look to, there's lots and lots of people that follow a channel. It's not about money, but it's about that they set themselves a target and they aim for that target. And I think that there's a nobility in that, and I think that there is something worthwhile setting yourself a challenge and trying to live to that challenge. And everybody's challenge might be different. Right. And I think that there are people that on their deathbed think I should be in the shop, or I should be in the office, because they're still questing to do better in whatever it is that they've set as their target. And I don't think there's anything ignoble. I think that is noble. I think that that's a good thing.
The thing is, I kind of, it's a weird situation. I kind of disagree and agree with you. I think you misunderstood the office thing. The office thing isn't, because see, someone like someone like Elon Musk, let's even say, they are pursuing something that they themselves are deeply passionate about, and it is on their terms that they are pursuing this. It's
that makes
not
them an alpha male.
Well, yeah. But what I mean is they're pursuing it on their terms. When I was talking about the office and the guy, wishing to spend, this is not a man who's built this company himself. This is a man who's been working for someone else his entire life until retirement, and then they get a few years after retirement, and then you die. That's the scenario I'm talking about. You're talking about you jumped from a person who's just this office worker who pushes paper all day and does literally nothing that is even remotely passionate about, to someone like Real, or even I stretch it to Elon Musk, who are passionate about the thing that they're doing because they're doing it on their terms. They're not doing it because they have to, they're collecting a check at the end of the month and they have to pay some bills. These are people who are going after the thing that they want to do and the thing that they love. It's very different. Yes, I would imagine someone like Steve Jobs was still on his deathbed going, no, we need to make another iPhone.
I bet he did. I bet he bloody did.
He was still probably
the moment that he died.
Yeah.
On the morning that he died, I bet he was talking on his bloody phone to all sorts of execs about this, that, and the other.
Yeah, trying to get the next product, in the way he wants. But the thing is, the man was working. He's a multi-billionaire, not even a multi-millionaire. He was a multi-billionaire. And he was still doing, releases and those stage shows or whatever they did while he was suffering from cancer. Most of us.
It's not about the money.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, Ned, that's a man who's doing the thing he's passionate about. You could take it to another level. What's his name? That guy who played Black Panther. I forgot.
Yeah, the guy who had died of cancer.
Yeah, he had cancer whilst he was shooting Black Panther. He was suffering from cancer and he was doing chemo whilst making those movies. This is the level of commitment and passion that he had for his work.
Yes, but that's my point. We can't all be that guy that's Black Panther. We can't all be Steve Jobs. We can't all be Elon Musk.
We can all be real.
Yes, and that's my point. The thing is that I don't think that Real is actually molding the universe around himself. He's working around the lumps of the universe to get the best advantage.
But dude, none of these people, these Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they're not molding the universe around them. They started off with having to work around the universe and having to work with what they had in front of them. They started with nothing. You listen to Elon Musk before he founded, created PayPal. He was sitting on his computer, jobless, literally with tens of thousands, I think it was $100,000 of debt from his university, and he was wondering what the hell is he going to do with his life. He literally went to America with nothing, and he acquired hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt I'm sure it was in the hundreds. It might be in the tens of thousands, but certainly in the upper tens of thousands of dollars of debt. And there he is with nothing but debt, and he had to figure out how to get out of this. And he started basically. This is what he says in this clip that I was watching today. He says the cheapest way to start a business is by writing code. If you can write code, if you can develop a software product, that is the absolute cheapest way. You literally need nothing but a computer and your bedroom. And
but also a mental capability to do that.
Yes.
You have that ability. I don't have that ability. I wish I did. I don't know.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I mean, there is that. I mean, I was thinking that when I was no, not just you, not you, but myself. I don't have that ability to. I mean, I can learn the ability. It takes fucking ages, but I don't have that same ability to write code. I'm not a code writer. I mean, I do other things. I do scripts, but I don't write software like the way Musk wrote PayPal and other things like that. So no, I don't. I wish I had that. I mean, there are ways around it, but this is the thing. It all depends on what you're passionate about. Do you know Real has written a game?
No, I didn't know that.
Real wrote a game. Not only just made a game, he wrote fucking code for that game. He's launched his own, or I don't know if he's in collaboration with someone else, but he's launched a cryptocurrency.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
He has his own cryptocurrency, or certainly partners with someone who has cryptocurrency. He's written his own game. He's a man who's, I don't think he's even been one day to university. But he's got the capabilities. To me, this is the irony. People look at Elon Musk's and Jeff Bezos and what's his name? The guy from Virgin Airlines, Richard Branson. People look at these guys as inspirational people. Oh, they are so. I look at Real. Real is fucking inspirational. This man is doing things with all the disadvantages that life has thrown at him. With all the fuckeries that he's been through, and all the fucked up mistakes that he made with the dogs and all that shit. So this man has made mistakes after mistake, but he keeps on pushing forward. He keeps on going. He's got his head down, and he's minding his own fucking business, and he just keeps pushing forward.
And rolling with the punches.
And rolling with whatever punches, whatever shit that throws at him. That's fucking inspirational.
Yeah. Yeah, it is actually. Yeah,
that's inspirational not only on the level that what he's doing, but on the fact that he is an ordinary person that I've met in the real world. He's not some god sitting on a pedestal like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, untouchable. He's a person, a living human being that I can physically touch, and know that he's there.
But I think that there's a lot of people like Real. Once you actually start looking, I think that if you're talking about the manosphere, I think that's what I tend to think the manosphere is about a man realizing their potential and trying to realize their potential to do what Real is trying to do, to actually sort of squeeze the best advantage out of all of the shitty fucking breaks he's had in life, to squeeze the last.
But he's still hustling.
Of opportunity.
He's still hustling.
The worst fucking dice rolls that he's actually been given.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. But what I mean is, this is the kind of guy that I would say, on his deathbed, he'd still be looking at the next thing to hustle, the next hustle, the next thing to do, because he wants to he will make something work. This is the thing. They say, you throw enough shit at the wall, something will stick. And this man is gonna fling as much shit as he can till the day he dies, until something sticks, until something actually sparks and takes off. And
so going back, I think that's why if you go into a bookshop in New York, half the books are going to be about self-improvement, because the Americans do have a mindset about self-improvement, which we don't tend to have over here in the UK. I don't think. I may be wrong. But I think that there is a massive market, a great yearning, especially amongst young men who feel that they've been, they're not important in media. They're not, in professional life. They're not important. They've been devalued. They are looked down upon. They are not given the chances that young women. They're not achieving the way that young women are, and so they feel sort of, in my view, I might be wrong here, I might be misreading this, but I get the impression that they feel that they've been beaten down, they've been emasculated, and the whole thing about the manosphere is to try and get men to start like living with their chest again.
Yeah. Well, look, the thing is, yeah, there are several, as always with everything, there's several layers to all of this. The one thing that is true, that yes, the gynocentric society of the Western world is beating the shit out of anything manly. Yeah, it's constantly beating down on the men. Toxic. The only time you hear about masculinity is when it's followed by when it's what do you call it? It's attached to the word toxic. Effectively, there's always toxic and then masculinity. No, masculinity on its own, it's terrible. It's wife beaters and rapists and all of that shit. Apparently, that everything to do with masculinity is that.
Patriarchy, yeah.
But the funny thing is, this is the fucked up thing. This morning I was listening to a clip from Kellyanne something. They call her Posey Parker.
She used to be Trump's speech at
Kellyanne. No, not that one. Not that one. She's called Posey Parker. She became famous. Yeah, Kelly. I think it's Kellyanne or Kelly something.
Posey Parker. I know.
But Posey Parker, she's a regular. Seems to be quite a regular on GB News at the moment. Because Kelly J. Keane, that's it. Kelly J. I think that is her.
I don't know.
Yeah. Kelly J. Keane she used to be called Posey Parker. That her real name is Kelly J. Keane. I actually met her at Speaker's Corner one time. I've got a little mini interview with her. Yeah, because she comes down to Speaker's Corner, I think every first Sunday of the month. She used to come to the main section of Speaker's Corner, but then she got attacked by a bunch of like lefties and Antifa types.
Physically attacked.
Well, her sign was ripped and torn apart, and she got she had signs and stuff, and so she became a bit intimidated in that area. So what they do is they come to London. They go to a place called, I don't know, the Freedom Tree or the something tree, where they find this tree in Hyde Park, but it's not at the Speaker's Corner location, where they can feel a little bit more safe, and they gather there with all her feminist friends and stuff, talking about trans men are terrible. But I mean, she's got her shtick, which is fine, and I think, to be honest with you, to some extent, I agree with her anyway. I think men in women's spaces is never a wise thing. It doesn't matter how much those men prance around pretending to be women. I still think it's, if you have a cock and balls, it exempts you from women's spaces. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Even if you cut off the cock and balls, I'm still skeptical. But if you have the cock and balls, you definitely shouldn't be in women's spaces. But then again, you get people like Blair White, and that line becomes extremely blurred. Because would you force someone like Blair White to go into a men's changing room? She's going to look weird. Men are going to be fucking freaked out. So yes, it does become a bit unusual. So there are certain grey areas which Kelly doesn't seem to delve into. But nevertheless, what was I saying? She was talking about all of this trans issues and all of that on GB News up until the end of the conversation, where the previous conversation I think they were having was about bringing back chivalry, and she was all about feminism. Oh, fine with feminism. Oh, yes, we must, strong women, yes, rule, women, this, that. And then as soon as it came to chivalry and opening up doors for women and paying the fucking bill, she was like, oh, actually, no, because we said feminism and women should be strong, it doesn't mean we men can't open doors for us. Oh, we should definitely bring back feminism. I'm like, you fucking hypocrite. You think this whole thing is a fucking buffet to you. You just pick the bits you want, ignore the bits you don't want. No. You know what, Kelly? What's going to happen is, along with your feminism, the next time some fucking perv is beating the shit out of you on a train, those men who are supposed to be chivalrous and stand up for you, no, they're going to walk the fuck away. That was exactly an article a feminist wrote on The Guardian or some shit some time back, where a bloke. I don't know if it was.
Jermaine Greer wrote it.
Was it Jermaine? Because she was complaining about
an underground train and a bloke. She was on an underground. Sorry,
Yeah.
I interrupted you.
No, keep going.
She was on an underground train, and a guy started. I think he recognised her, and he started getting really, really abusive, and threatening. And a bloke just sort of stepped between them, and he said, "Hey, mate, back off! You know."
No. This wasn't it. No, what it was, there was a guy. This was a woman who's writing. This wasn't Jermaine Gray then, because she said there was this guy who was being quite verbally abusive towards her, and these two other men were also on the same carriage. As soon as the train stopped, the two men got off and just walked away without saying anything to the guy who was being quite verbally abusive to the woman. And she was complaining not about the guy who was being verbally abusive to her, but about the two men who were not chivalrous enough to step in and tell the guy what's what and stop being abusive to this woman.
And that's totally fucked up. They're talking about 50% of the army being female. Women can't do. I'm sorry, but women can't do the job of a male soldier.
Exactly.
They've
But
got
to me,
the physical strength of a 13-year-old boy. They can't do.
Well, they've reduced all the push-ups and pull-ups and all of that physical fitness levels
firemen,
for women.
like apparently firefighters. We're not allowed to say firemen anymore.
Yeah, firefighters.
Right? Yeah. Half of the people on it, and apparently firefighters are not allowed to talk about this. But the thing is, they've got half of the operatives in a fire engine. On a fire engine.
Yeah, unable to carry out the full duties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need big, hefty blokes that fucking lay out all the pipes, that fucking
it's not just
ladders out, that climb up the ladders, that pull people out.
Exactly. They have to pull, 100-pound, 140-pound women and men and children, and carry them on their shoulders.
With breathing apparatus and a hose, hose.
And kick a door down. Half these women can't even fucking kick a door open.
And that's going to fuck up our society.
Well,
that is, that's going to fuck up our society.
You need to talk to Ralph about this, because Ralph will have a lot to say. And I'll be honest, on these levels, I do agree. I think this is how this society, the pillars of this society are going to start crumbling through these measures. This is how it happens. This is how empires implode. This is how Rome falls. This is how great empires have fallen throughout history.
Except I think that there's a strain of common sense that runs through society, and also a sort of survival instinct. People aren't stupid. People know that this cannot stand, that this can't work.
No, I'm telling you, they won't.
I was listening to BBC. I can't listen to the BBC increasingly because it's becoming so woke. Right, it really is becoming.
It's horrific.
The news in the morning on like Radio 4. If you listen to the morning program on I can't see today on Radio 4, right? That used to be really, really good. It would set you up for the day with the news. You can't listen to it now because it's so slanted towards a sort of wokeism and this sort of woke agenda. But in the week. On the 6th anniversary on Insurrection Day, on Insurrection
Day,
right? Well, they had like the BBC reporter for America, and he gave quite a good speech. He quite a good sort of report, and he sort of said that that there is this culture war, that there is an elite that have a certain set of what he called woke values. And he said there's a vast majority of undereducated, ordinary people who totally reject those values. And he seemed to be saying that, that all this wokeism is held by a lot of people in power, but they're a minority in society.
Yeah, but, there was, I think I had a conversation with
Gramsci.
No. This was with Lister, and he even said that it only takes 3% of any population to dominate the rest. It doesn't require, you don't need 50% of the population to agree with you for a policy to go through. You need 3% of very active, highly racinated and motivated group of people to make all of these happen. You think all of these third wave feminists and trans rights and all of these trans sort of arguments and things, you think these are happening with the 80%, 70% of the population? These are happening, these conversations and these policies are being made on the whim of about 2 or 3% of very active, highly motivated activists. They're not, these policies are not being made. These policies of the BBC are not being made by 50% of the population's consent. Most of the population, in fact, is apathetic to most of this shit. They just don't do anything about it. And those 2 or 3% highly motivated activists are the ones who are actually making all these decisions.
Oh yeah, no.
Who are pushing all of this shit.
I can't remember whether it was Trotsky or Gramsci that said that. Just an aside, that ultras in chat. Good to see you, Ultra. Try and persuade Veli, if you have any sway with him, to bring back his. He is sorely missed. He is sorely missed.
It's true.
His live streams are sorely missed, man.
I do have to say, yes.
He
Big up.
Greatly loved what he was doing, and
fire the G block.
yeah, G block. Yeah, bring back the G block. Stop all that fucking
NFT and crypto bullshit.
Crypto coin crap. Right, bring back G block.
The thing is, I get it. I understand why Veli, the amount of shit he had to put up with for that G block, the amount of shit crap that he got from people like Zubaydah and Muslims, and constantly having to battle being but constantly having to battle being flagged and his channel being taken down, or because YouTube is becoming increasingly fucked. I mean, this is why my production of videos and things have dropped dramatically, especially the stuff that I enjoy, which is taking the piss out of people like Zubaydah, because I can't anymore. Not on YouTube. I can do it on Odyssey. Yeah, I can do it on Odyssey. I can do it on Rumble. I can go to Gitter, and I find myself in a much happier place. I swear to God, I go to these other platforms, and it's so wonderful. It's so refreshing to be able to actually say the things you want to say. All these content creators that I follow on YouTube who have to kind of muzzle themselves, they're actually saying real shit on these other platforms. You just don't hear about them on YouTube because YouTube won't allow them to say the things that they say. So you have to go to Rumble, you have to go to Odyssey to really hear these people's true opinions, because they give their true opinions on these other platforms. Now, as I say, I've been on Odyssey and Rumble for a while. I've now started Gitter, and I'm looking through Gitter, and it's Twitter basically. It's Twitter but free, like the free speech Twitter is what I call it, and it's actually people expressing themselves the way they want to, not be gagged or shut down by some fucking Nazi, effectively, on YouTube or Twitter. These PC Nazis, PC police.
I think that, but I suspect. Now, I may be wrong, and it may be just wishful thinking of me, but I think all of these things come in cycles, and that there's an enormous amount of churn in our culture, in our society, and I think we're going through like this sort of woke resurgence at the moment, and I think it's partly powered by the emergence of women in society. They now have a position in the professional world that they never had before, and that's a good thing, but what's happened is that they're asserting things that are important to women, right? And I think that what we call woke, I think it's
feminism.
Yes, I do.
It's the feminization of society. This is exactly why the internet became these platforms like YouTube and Twitter and stuff became the shitholes that they are, is because the women started complaining. It's the women that complain about being bullied, even though men are the majority of the people who are being bullied and harassed on these platforms. all the statistics say men are far more aggressively attacked than women are on these platforms, and yet it's the women that constantly complain about how they're being bullied. And in fact, the statistics bear out that it's other women bullying women. The majority of bullying and harassment and sort of attacks.
But also the hive mind. It's also the hive mind. You know, the idea that if one goes in, then 1,000, 10,000 will go in as well. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, sometimes, that I mean, that used to happen back in the day, where a big YouTuber would do a reply or respond video to another feminist video, and then all of that subscribers of that YouTuber would then dogpile the comment section of the other of the feminists or whoever the YouTuber was replying to, and a lot of YouTubers had to make these statements now. Don't go to these people's comment section. Don't harass them, because they would get in the shit for it.
But if you actually look, if you actually look, I think that there is this churn, and maybe I'm deluding. Maybe I am deluding myself, and we can't fight the power of the vagina. You know, maybe the cervix is going.
Well, the vagina is a powerful organ. It's it sways a lot of it sways a lot of opinions. No, it's true, dude. I'm not even joking. I was sitting around and thought to myself, the number of hours that I have wasted either by chasing women, masturbating to women, or somehow being preoccupied. My brain is preoccupied by women's anatomy, tits, arse, vagina, whatever. If I could have utilized that level of motivation and those hours spent chasing pussy,
you'd be Elon Musk.
I swear to God, I would have not only a fucking moon base by now, I would have colonized Mars. I would have a fucking resort on Mars where you could go for the fucking weekend, because I would have invented some hyper fucking quantum drive which would get you to Mars in like 25 minutes. You could get to Mars quicker than you could fucking from East London to West London. So yeah, if men could shut off the pussy trigger, the pussy switch, they would achieve ungodly things. Oh my God!
I think that there is an equal and opposite reaction. I think that you look at Posey Parker; she's actually knocking holes in, with turf. This turfism. I think that's gaining ground. If you look in America at like the Virginia governor's election, where a rock solid Democrat state suddenly overnight became a Republican state, and I don't know quite when the midterm elections are this year. They are this year.
Yeah, they're in 2022.
Apparently, the predictions are that the Republicans are going to completely take both houses, right?
Both houses and the Senate.
Yeah, and the president and the vice president, Kamala Harris, they are immensely unpopular. Their policies are failing, right? And there's a massive turn against
Democrats.
All of this wokeism, all of this shit, it's all being seen, and maybe we're seeing a turn. Maybe we might be seeing a turn. I don't know.
Well, I mean, this is American politics, dude. That has nothing to do. That would bear nothing on Europe and European. I mean, our European. I don't give a crap if the whole of America suddenly becomes an evangelistic fucking Christian nut job of a nation. It still wouldn't make a dent in the clearly the left-wing politics of Britain. The Conservatives of Britain are the Democrats of America, because our fucking liberal left, Labour, is literally dominated by communists. Yeah, it's not even they're not even like pretending. They're calling themselves fucking dear comrades at their fucking meetings. Did you see the last Labour convention?
They've always done that. You've been here before, Banksy. They've always done that.
No, they never. I never remember them.
Yes, they've always done that.
Not during the Blair era.
Yes.
No.
Actually, look, it's a tradition in the Labour Party.
They call themselves comrades.
Yeah, they will address it. just listen. If you go on YouTube, I bet on some corner of YouTube there is the 1968 Harold Wilson conference, right, where Harold Wilson addresses the Labour Party at Blackpool, and I betcha I would lay £1,000 on it. I've not seen it, but it's a tradition. They call everybody else in the hall comrades, and throughout the conference they refer to each other. It's a tradition.
I swear, man,
It's
I
the
never
same way
remember
that
any of that during the Blair era. I remember the Blair sort of conferences, Labour conferences, be very similar to the Conservatives. And they say, dear conference, they address the whole place as conference, dear conference, this and that. But I never remember the comrade shit. I can't say honestly.
Oh no
I mean,
no! It's a kind of it's only done as a sort of polite thing, but it really is like comrades. Some of the speeches are going on. You know that they used to have like a sort of red light and a green light, and the green light was like a warning that you had a minute before the microphone switched off, and then the red light would actually sort of be that the microphone's about to go off in sort of 30 seconds, and they never used to switch off the microphones, but you'd actually get comrades. There are people that continue talking for 2 minutes after the red light's gone on. Can you please come on, show a little bit of internal party discipline? And it used to be it was like a kind of way of addressing other members at the conference.
Maybe. I mean, maybe this was ongoing. It's just maybe with YouTube and all that, I get to, because I wouldn't sit there. I have to admit, back in the day, I would never sit and listen to all the different party members talk their bollocks. I would only listen to the main, the Prime Minister at the time was Tony Blair, the Chancellor, and the cabinet members.
Yeah.
I would pretty much only listen to those. The rest of the sort of peons wouldn't even get a look in for me. So, but now with YouTube, people put compilations together of all the regular speakers that stand up and give their bollocks, and so I guess maybe now I'm exposed to the average Labour conference speaker rather than just the cabinet members or the shadow cabinet members or the main players, because they're the only ones that mattered anyway. I mean, the rest of them.
You want to give yourself a real treat if you've not seen it already. The Lotus Eaters,
Yeah. That's the ones. That's exactly the ones I've seen.
Tonight there was one where he had like 7 examples of where Karens had actually kick it off about masks.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that one. I gotta catch that one. Yes.
There's a woman in a plane and she doesn't have a mask on, a Karen, and she's screaming at this guy for not having a mask on. Now remember, she doesn't have a mask on.
Oh yeah. She's pulled her mask below her chin on the plane, and she's beating the guy who doesn't have a mask on about why he doesn't have a mask on. And she's wearing hers under her chin.
Yes. She spits at him and she hits him.
Right? Yes, I've seen that one. That is like, these people this is cultish behavior now. This whole thing with the vid, and this is cultish behavior. This is not normal behavior. Normal human beings don't start spazzing out over some dude who's not wearing a face nappy. This is like, if you're in a cult and they tell you these are the rules, and you're like so into it that the minute someone flouts the rules of the cult, they lash out at them. This is what happens with freaking crazy religious people stoning some heathen or some what do they call them? Not heathens. Oh man, not apostates, but you know what I mean. People who either apostate or behave like an apostate or behave like heretics. Heretics.
Heretics.
There you go. That's what it is. That's exactly what these people are. They consider non-mask wearers heretics to the fucking great leader, to the great cult.
I've got a confession to make in that, I am one of those. I'm one of those Karens. It's really bad. I am one of those Karens.
You tell people they should be wearing masks in shops and stuff.
No, I seethe. No, no. I seethe silently behind my mask.
Yeah, yeah, but at least you have enough way
No, I
about
don't have to.
yourself.
No, if I was an alpha male, you see, if I was part of the manosphere, I would be standing aloft on the
but
bridge of the bus, saying, "Put
screaming.
your mask on."
The thing is, I think I know why. If you notice, there are far more Karens than there are Kevins when it comes to this kind of shit. There are far more women jumping on men and other people generally saying this kind of shit to them than men. I've seen a few videos of men as well. There was a guy in a supermarket, I think. He was having a go at another guy for not having any masks. But generally, men know if they cross a certain line, they're going to get blasted in the face.
Well, that's
and
on the Lotus Seeker. That actually happens. There's a guy who kicks a girl, and then there's a bloke who and he knocks 7 bells of shit out of him.
There you go.
And he literally stamps on his head. I mean, actually, he must have fucking broken teeth.
Fucking hell. But that's what I mean. You see, men know that is a possibility. On the other hand, because it's socially unacceptable to hit a woman, women literally can get away with this shit with impunity almost, because they know no man's gonna strike them for being a Karen about wearing masks. So they get away with it a lot more than men do. Men.
But I think that there's also something in a woman's. I think that there's also something in a woman's conditioning, that they play by the rules. If a man and a woman, at Parents' Day, when they have like sports day, you have sports day, and the parents turn up at primary school, and one of the races will be an egg and spoon race or the 3-legged race.
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, after the competitions are all over, they'll get a load of parents and they'll do an egg and spoon race. The women will play by the rules entirely. They will try and get the 100 meters right with the egg and the spoon in their hand, and they'll do it properly. Right, a man will clamp his hand around the egg and the spoon, and he'll run like fuck. Right? Do you see that women
fucks to give?
Women follow the rules, and women survive in this society by following the rules. And if you're in a place of work, right, and you start doing like clamping your hand over the egg and the spoon and doing the sort of equivalent in work life, the women will beat the shit out of you procedurally, according to the company rules. Am I making sense to you?
I think so. I think I know what you mean.
They wield the rules as a weapon, and it's a powerful tool.
It served them well. I mean, you have to recognize that throughout history, women. I guess I guess I can see this is in an anthropological sort of sense. Women have had to depend on the societal rules for their survival, because if people flouted the rules, then they would be the most vulnerable in that society. Men would usually be able to muscle their way out of it, or somehow physically, you know what I mean, get out of the chaos that might ensue if people flouted the rules. But women are the ones who are most vulnerable, especially if they're pregnant. They are at their absolutely most vulnerable sort of state, where they're physically unable to, they need literally someone else to physically help them and keep them safe. So yeah, you could be right. You could be that there's an anthropological aspect to it.
I'm an old man, as you very kindly pointed out earlier, right? And
I didn't. I said you could be surprised that he could be much younger than all of us. It was Hopsky.
That was very that was very gallant. But look, in the 1990s, if I fucked up, and I did fuck up sometimes, my governor would give me the bollocking of my life. He'd actually bore me out a new arsehole, and he'd fucking swear as well, right? The door would close, and he would give me a fucking hairdryer, right? And I would know that that my job might be on the line. I'd be on his fucking shit list for a week or for a month, right?
Yeah.
And then he'd cool down, and then I'd sort of win my way back into his grace and favors. I suggest that if I fucked up in that kind of a way nowadays, there would be some Karen in HR, and I'd never get the hairdryer. I would get the procedure. I would get the grievance
Yes.
procedure,
Yeah.
and I'd be out the fucking door.
Well, no, I mean,
am I talking bollocks there? Is that?
no. You're right in the sense that you wouldn't get the screaming hairdryer at you because obviously that doesn't fly anymore in modern day corporate sort of life. But yes, you wouldn't even get the HR. You would actually get kind of, even if it, I mean, it all depends on how badly you fuck up. But if you really fucked up like royally and it was pure negligence because you could have totally avoided it, then you would get things like the official first warning. You'd be put on some kind of probationary period where you'd be observed by a supervisor or a senior person, and then they would write up reports. You'd have to write up like some kind of log of your work every day, how you go about your work, how you approach whatever it is that you do, and then you would keep that log as a record of your probationary period. And if you pass your probationary period, then it would all be wiped off. If not, there'll be a second run of issues or a second letter of warning plus a further extended probationary period, and there's a whole sort of process until they shit can you eventually, or you quit by that point because you're like, fuck this life. But I've seen that kind of shit happen. In fact, I actually was semi part of one, but I kind of said to them, "You can fuck your job." And all this bullshit that you're putting me through. I was instrumental in the key instrumental individual in this entire fucking endeavor that this company started up with, and now you're giving me this kind of bullshit. Keep a log of what I'm doing. You go fuck yourselves. I immediately quit that job and moved on to, in fact, a better job with better pay. But that's a whole other story. But no, I mean, I don't take any of that shit. If
I prefer the old way. I prefer the hairdryer. I prefer having
a new ass torn into you.
That almost fucking thumped me. You know what I mean?
I mean, I suppose, I don't know. The thing is, it all depends on the job and the quality of the work that you do and how much you're dedicated to the company. Because back in the day, maybe back in your time, back in the 90s, certainly.
Electrician. I was an electrician.
Yeah.
I was doing loads and loads of repairs.
But
right?
what I mean is, were you self-employed or were you
No,
dependent on this company?
I was sort of working in a large, massive, great big sort of, complex. Okay. And the thing was that I was working all over the building, all over the site. Every day was bloody different, and every day would be a new set of challenges. And one day I'd be working on a small piece of equipment. On another day, I'd be actually maintaining a production line, right? And the thing is that if the production line isn't working after like half an hour, your manager's standing at your shoulder, looking over your shoulder. How long is this going to be? If it's still not working after sort of 50 minutes, then the actual general manager has come out of his office and he wants to know why the fucking production lines held up.
Yeah.
Right. And it gets really, really real really, really quickly. You're under a lot of pressure, and they want it done now, and they want you to do your fucking job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I sort of enjoy that kind of pressure, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's, again, for me, in the industry that I kind of came up in, it's so easy to, especially after a few years of experience. Those initial years is a pain in the ass to get the experience. But once you got the level of experience that most people want, then it becomes so easy to get other jobs.
You develop a series of strategies to deal with just about anything that's thrown at you.
Yeah, and also you develop the skills and the confidence to be able to deal with whatever any company throws at you, and the job market for the IT industry is so still to this day, it's so just easy. At least certainly for me, I've never struggled more than 2-3 weeks to get another job. Even if I quit a job without having any other jobs, within 4 weeks I can have another job. So I've never struggled to get a job in the IT industry. So for me, any level of disrespect from my employers was like, yeah, you can go fuck yourselves. The minute I feel that I'm not useful or I'm not essential to a business, that I'm not a key player in this company's uh, you know productivity or this company's progression and growth. I'm just a guy collecting a check. As soon as I get to that point, I'm out. I just can't stand being in a company that I'm just some dude who's just collecting a check. I'm not actually doing something useful. If I'm not doing something useful, I don't even want to be in that company.
Going back to what you were saying, you know what? When Flexi was here earlier, and I apologise if I got sort of shirty with him, but going back to what you were sort of saying, if you look, the the all the problems of society were manifest on this screen. Because what you actually saw, you saw Hopsky that is divorced, you saw you that have not had a family, and you saw
Flexi, it was a
Flexi
widow.
was divorced as
No,
well.
no, he was widowed. He was widowed.
I'm sorry, widowed. So the thing is that there, in a nutshell, is all the problems with our society. We've got a whole load of kids that are growing up without a father figure, without a male figure in the house. Now that is important. The reason why I sort of said about America, cited America, is because that's important in America, and I personally believe that that's important over here. I think that
Absolutely.
I benefited by having my dad in the house. I think that I needed to have a male in the house that was more powerful than me, that wasn't as my mum was quite soft on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whereas my old man sort of didn't take any shit at all, and I think I needed that. You know what I mean? And I think
hundred
that there's an
percent.
awful lot of kids growing up without a man in the house, and I think you need one.
Yeah,
And I believe if the manosphere is anything, we have got to, it's more than just Sex in the City and like having elite sort of males. What's that guy that you spoke about? You said, oh, you've got to actually try and watch. You said there's a black guy that
oh,
wears a
Kevin
suit.
Samuels. Kevin
Yes,
Samuels.
Kevin Samuels.
Yeah.
And I watched a whole load of those. And it seems to me, now I may be wrong, but I suspect that he might not be heterosexual,
Kevin
right?
Samuels.
I don't know, but I'm not
Interesting.
sure.
Never really,
Yeah,
never really paid that much. I didn't. I always assumed that he
but it
was
really seemed to be.
heterosexual.
Well, I might be wrong with that, but
Because he talks about, like, how he's a high value man at the, he gets women half his age all the time.
oh yeah,
So
oh yeah,
he
but I
certainly
think that.
says that. Now, whether he's, again, another one of these guys who's secretly a homosexual and he's just fronting and try to
Yeah, but
make a
that
buck
was
out of
that was
this
probably
whole thing.
probably I'm probably wrong, and that was probably an aside that I shouldn't have actually introduced there. But my point is that it seemed to me that his whole shtick was aimed at women, and there's an awful lot of women that like powerful daddy figures, and he really is like a powerful daddy figure in spades. He really is a really
You
powerful
are
sort of.
right, though. He does seem to, all of his, at least the stuff that we see, which is this YouTube streams, are all just him and women on the panel. He barely ever brings men on the panel to discuss these things. But then again, I think what he does is through the analysis and the breakdown of the women and their conditions and their sort of high expectations of men, he is also passing that message on by simply letting the women say the things that they say. He then responds to these women. then men can see what women or where they should be in if they want this particular type of woman.
I don't think that you or I are his target audience. I think that
Oh
his
no.
target audience are women, and I think I
Well,
understand black women. And I
yes,
think that,
that's exactly it. His target audience are black people in general, black
not
men
men, not
and
men.
black women. But no, I mean generally his advices are for the black community, if you like.
Yeah.
He's trying to fix a lot of the single parent, single mother kind of issues in the black community and in the black Americans, because he feels that is the group that requires the most amount of help, because they produce the most amount. I mean, black people are 13% of the population. They commit 50% of the crimes in the United States. They have 70% of single motherhood in the United States. There is some serious issues with this 13% population. I mean, they're not even considered to be a large minority group.
Do you know the terrible thing about that? Do you know the really terrible thing about that was that it didn't used to be like that. It didn't used
Yeah.
to be like that. It's really terrible that there was a president called Lyndon Johnson, LBJ,
Yeah.
and the bloke that sort of followed after JFK, after John F. Kennedy. And
Yeah.
the thing is, he introduced the Great Society, where he uh, built loads and loads of projects, loads and loads of like councils for poor people, and specifically, and he went out of his way to provide benefits for poor people, and what they actually reckon happened was that he made it possible for poor black fatherless women, single parent
Fatherless families to come about,
to survive on benefits in the United States. And they said it was actually it was said, and they didn't need men anymore, right?
Well, I think you're right. It's a similar sort of thing to Britain. They made women dependent on the state. The state replaced the man.
The state became the man. Yeah. That's And if you go back to Samuels, is it Kevin? What's the name of the guy?
Kevin Samuels, yeah.
What's his name?
Kevin Samuels.
It is Kevin. Samuels.
It's Kevin,
Kevin Samuels. The thing is that I think that he's targeting. There's an awful lot of single parent mums out there. These are good people. I'm not dissing them. These are good people. They're like nurses, and they're like they're earning like a decent living. They're doing a worthwhile good job, but they're struggling because they've got like a single parent. They're trying to raise girls and boys in a family, and the man's not around.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that
100%.
he's trying to sort of, I don't know what he's trying to do.
Well, he's trying to readdress a lot of things.
Lower women's expectations. Is that right?
Well, number one, he's trying to explain to women that if you're a woman, I mean, he literally has women who are like in their late 30s, early 40s, single moms, who are looking for men who are earning $200,000 a year plus. It's like, love, there is no way a man who's earning $200,000 a month is going to go with a 40-year-old over the hill, past their sell-by date, fucking single mom. What kind of insanity do you think these people, because the problem is they think that these men are stupid as well. A man who earns $200,000 a year is not also an idiot. At the same time, you're not going to get that combination of an idiot who earns a shitload of money unless he's inherited it or he's living off mummy and daddy's corporation. Those are the only exceptions, and even they are smart enough to know they can get 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds. They're not going to go for a 40-year-old woman that's a single mom. It's like some of the expectations that these women have, and believe it or not, these are not just American women. I see Tinder profiles of these women all the time. They're on Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Bumble, all of those fucking different sort of dating apps. Yeah, in Britain. In Britain, I see it all the time in Britain in their profiles. There's a woman who was 46 years old, 2 children, And she's like, I want a man who's this height. I want a man who makes this much money. I don't want a guy. I don't want time, no pen pals, no time wasters. I'm like, love, you should be thanking your lucky stars that a single man even swipes fucking right on you. There is nothing in this profile that says, yeah, this is a woman I want to be with. And she's got Instagram fucking photos. She's got the dolled up images with her bikini shots and her night, I don't know, ballroom dress shots. She's make-upped up to the nines, filter all over the fucking photos. I'm looking at this going, here is the classic example of a mutton dressed as lamb. And she thinks that she can get herself one of these like high value, I don't know, over £100,000 a year kind of guys, that they're going to be clambering at her, they'll be knocking at her door. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're going to be knocking at a 30-year-old's door. They're going to be knocking at a 25 to 28-year-old's door, but they're not knocking on your door, and they'll never knock on your door. The problem is, though, this is the paradox and what fucks up the women. This is why I address simps so much. I despise simps. Simping and simps should be fucking like illegal by the pain of death.
What's the simp?
Okay, a simp is a guy who will spend money, especially on the internet nowadays, would literally send money to women in the hopes that one day they will notice him and will become his girlfriend. And these e-thoughts milk these simps day and night. There's a woman who has now made $200,000 selling her farts in a jar to India.
Yes.
I wanted to actually talk about this some time back. I talked about it on another panel.
$1,000 a jar of farts.
Yes, yes. And by the way, this woman was committed to the whole ordeal. A lot of people were saying that maybe she's not actually selling her real farts. She's just selling empty jars. No, she was living on a diet of protein shakes, beans, and eggs, and she almost died. It gave her a heart condition. She almost died because she was committed to farting in a jar. She did make $200,000 out of it, though. and apparently these were all genuine farts in a jar.
And they have to be hers because apparently they were being sold as her farts.
Yeah.
Eggs and beans.
Eggs, beans, and protein shakes was the diet that this woman was on. But what I'm saying is that there were men who paid money for this. Those men should have their cock and balls removed, either surgically or with a guillotine preferably, because they no longer deserve the God's gift of cock and balls. These people have they have forfeited their rights to a cock and balls because you bought a woman's fart in a jar. What is wrong with the men in this world? What is wrong? This is what I'm saying about simps. I fucking hate simps. Simps should be fucking eradicated. They should be shut. If you see a simp in the real world, just spit at them. Just spit at them and walk away with a look of disgust on your face. Because that's all they deserve. That's all. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. If a man has bought a jar of fart from a fucking internet thought, you should be scolded by the society. You should be shunned. You should be fucking tarred and feathered and put backwards on a donkey.
I've not seen it. There's a guy on the internet somewhere. I don't know. But I've just been told about this. That there's a guy on the internet that actually has a film where he opens one of these jars.
Well, there is definitely a girl called Delphine something or other on YouTube.
He paid £1,000 for $1,000 for the jar.
Yeah, but in her case, now this Delphine girl that I'm talking about, she was selling her bath water. So she was taking baths in a bath, and then she would jar the water and then sell that, and she made literally hundreds of thousands of dollars from that. And then there were people who were buying these jars and then doing an unboxing and an opening of the bathwater jar on YouTube. Yeah, there were people who were doing that. There was a guy.
I've got to look at those.
There's a guy, Penguin 0Z. Or Penguins, or Penguin Z0. Anyway, he's very funny. I love his work. He bought the vagina-smelling candle of Gwyneth Paltrow. Now you think it's bad buying farts in a jar and making hundreds of thousands of dollars out of that. Gwyneth Paltrow was selling her vagina-scented candles. This is not just happening with simps on fucking internet with e-thoughts. This is Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, but whoa! The thing, apparently, the difference is that woman with the farts actually wedged the jar under her bottom, farted,
and then clamped it shut,
and then mailed it off to you. Okay, so you got the real, genuine thing from her, and apparently you couldn't do anything else because it would be fraud. She was saying that was her farts. Apparently, it was her farts, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well,
the
she almost died, so yeah.
Oh yeah, no. But Gwyneth Paltrow, apparently that was some kind of essence. It wasn't actually
exactly. It wasn't even her real vagina.
Scraping her lady bits.
Yeah, they were not scraping the labia, and the fucking what do they call it? The little extra starch that's on there. She was getting a thrush or whatever the hell she was recovering from. They didn't exactly scrape that off. I mean, they could have at least included one pube within each candle, so that at least you would have one DNA part of Gwyneth. But no, they simulated the musky smell of her vagina. Simulated, so you were actually not, you weren't even smelling her real vagina. You were smelling a simulated fragrance.
That was a line for women. That was a line for women. That wasn't a line for men. That wasn't like creepy. The way they understand it, her candle. That wasn't a line for creepy men. Apparently, all of the stuff in this particular line had a funny
This was
name.
for women. So women requested her vagina smell.
Yeah. I don't know what that's about. I have no idea.
Other women wanted to know what Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina smells like in a scented candle.
Because they wanted to be part of her mystique.
Is that what it is? Is it part of the voyeurism of trying to vicariously live as Gwyneth Paltrow because I have her vagina smell in my bathroom with some soap bombs that I threw in?
because they're selling a dream. The thing is, look. It's so much of advertising.
Is it really a dream? Is it really? Whose dream is it to want to know what Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina smells like? I want to know what demented fuck out there has a dream of smelling Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina, because that's not the kind of dream that I'm dreaming about.
I have a dream.
I have a dream. Is this the shining hill that Dr. King was talking about?
Every household will go home to a light in the window.
Every household would know what Gwyneth's vagina smells like.
Full of the aroma.
Little black children and little white children. All taking in the scent of Gwyneth's vagina. I have a dream. Holy shit. You're killing me. Fucking hell. Fuck it. This is what I mean about simping.
Not by the content of her character, but by the smell of her.
Her labia. They will not be judged by the content of their character, but by the fragrance of their vaginal discharges. Fuck me. Oh, big up MC.
Musty lady bits.
Oh my god. This is what I mean. This is the simping I'm talking about. People who purchase this kind of shit, the men. Let's face it, it's mostly men who purchase this sort of shit. They buy e-thoughts, fucking bathwaters, farts in a jar, all of this nonsense, all of this crap. I want men to stop that shit. Every time, if you're a man out there who's even had like the briefest of thought in your head, what would happen if I buy this woman's fart? You should find a mirror and then slap yourself hard in the face without holding back. I'm talking full on, possibly fist. If not, find some tool, some weapon of some sort, possibly a blunt object, and then hit yourself repeatedly in the face with that, because you fucking will not buy a woman's fart. I will be damned if I see any man who listens to this shit to go and buy a fart in a jar. I swear, I will personally, in fact, call me anytime you want to fucking buy a fart in a jar. I will personally come round and beat the shit out of you, so you will remember for the rest of your life not to ever even contemplate buying a fucking fart in a jar. Pick up, MC. How's it going?
Hello, MC.
Oh, good evening, guys.
How's it going, dude? I'm good, man. How are you? Have you ever considered buying a fart in a jar, MC? Because our friendship could be on the line here. I'm not joking. Our friendship and your future health could be in jeopardy if you've ever bought a woman's fart in a jar. That's all I'm saying. Don't ever think about it.
Speaking of simping.
Yeah, go on.
Thankfully, in a way, I am coming, unfortunately, from a quite simp predispository culture. Unfortunately, when I have analyzed it, it's quite good. But I'm aware of it also, and you know, I'm red pill on that topic, so no thoughts and no
That's
buying
good.
shit for them, be it my own native ones or be it foreign ones.
Oh my god. This is my biggest. You see, I see all of this as simply supply and demand situation. Women on, there's a reason why thoughts on Twitch make millions, and I'm talking literally millions of dollars a year, out of men who simply just throw money at them for doing nothing. They don't do anything. They don't even fucking play games. They're just sitting there with a giant cleavage and just responding to fucking texts here and there. That's it. And men just throw money at these women. Not only that, then you got OnlyFans. For me, if we can kill off simping, OnlyFans would burn to the fucking ground. I would personally burn their fucking building down to the fucking ashes.
This is all a product to the internet. You can't fight this. There's loads and loads of very lonely, failing young men, right, that are unhappy, that just live their lives when they're on sort of Call of Duty or on playing some game or watching simping.
Yeah, but you don't have
the internet has made this a generation of young men, young simps.
It's disgraceful. It's utterly. I mean, the thing is, look, you want women, you want to see naked women. There are literally porn sites overflowing out of the internet. I mean, the internet can barely contain. It's like the internet was. There is no internet. There's just porn sites, and then there are occasionally other things on the side. That's the internet is the porn.
I mean,
but there's a whole lot of men that have given up now.
Be like that. I mean, the keyboards of those sims should be like that. It should have only 3 buttons, and I'll tell you which ones they are: music, games, porn. Music, games, porn. That's
it. That's
what's happened. But that's what's happened.
Yeah, but
there are people that just live for the internet now.
No, but it's not just that it's just that. The problem is these simps are not just watching porn. If they just watched porn and cracked one out, it would have been fine. But they are literally going in and paying for these women to deliver nothing to them.
They're living virtually. Look, there's a court case at the moment in Minnesota, right? At the moment, where a guy apparently he's been working, studying to do computer coding at university. He's whilst working a couple of hours a week for a life insurance company before being accepted for Elon Musk's SpaceX. It all turned out that all of this was a lie. Right, when his father found out that he wasn't at university anymore, but he was spending all night on the internet, they had a great big row. And allegedly, the story is that not only did he kill the father and mother, but allegedly he sawed them up, right, and burned them in the fire in the living room, right?
In the living room.
Yeah, yeah. You know when you burn somebody, the reason why they know that is because they found the top of his mother's head in the fireplace, allegedly. Right?
Oh,
The
he had
court
a
case is actually
fireplace. He
going on.
put them in the fireplace.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. That is
Yeah.
fucked up.
The court case is going on at the moment. He's got his name's something like Holston. Something like Holston. The court case is going on at the moment. It's still live. It's still to be resolved. But his father found out that he was living a complete lie. He had a local girl who was absolutely stunningly beautiful girl, absolutely stunning, beautiful. And she was buying into the fact that he'd been accepted at SpaceX. He hadn't. She was buying that he was going to university. He'd stopped going to university. He was enrolled at the place, but
he stopped attending.
He was spending all night on the internet, and they can find that out now. It's all come out at trial that he was spending like 6 or 7 hours every night, all night playing Call of Duty and playing computer games, right? Everything was a lie. And when his father finally confronted him about it, his father was an accountant. When he found out about it, allegedly, the prosecution are claiming that he shot his father in the back, right? Killed his mother. They're not sure how they killed his mother because they've never found the body. Sawed them both up, right? And then burned them and then sprinkled them across the lakes and rivers in the locality.
Holy
and they
shit.
found bits of it, and they found the saw and bits that they're claiming he used to do it. They found that the actual crown of his mother's head was left in the fireplace. And when the reason why they know that they burnt the and the other thing was that when the police actually started doing computer searches, they did a sort of Google search of all the places that he'd searched. And one of the things, how do you dispose of bodies? And one of the things about disposing, and he had loads and loads of searches about how to actually dispose of bodies. And one of the things it sort of said on one site was hydrogen peroxide. You need to buy lots of hydrogen peroxide to actually clean the blood off of any surface to clear up. So because apparently the CSI people can actually find blood spatter, right? And so and what did he do? He went on to Amazon and bought like vast quantities of hydrogen peroxide.
Oh, right? To wipe everything down.
Yeah.
But he bought it from Amazon.
Yeah, but do you see that my point is that he lives now. That's all alleged. It might all be proven to be sort of untrue. But my point is that guy lived entirely virtually. He was entirely simple. He's living entirely online. His entire existence, his entire apart from this drop dead gorgeous girl that he actually managed to. And even then, do you know apparently what he did was that he had virtual sex with her in the shower. What she would be in one shower at her home, he would be at his home, right?
And they'd call each other up and have like.
He'd show his bits, she'd show her bits, and then they both get off on it.
I mean, cyber sex has been around for a long time. That's nothing new. They even built like suits and stuff for online sex and shit. Again, look.
Oh my!
I mean, this guy's obviously had other issues as well. To be able to murder your own parents and then try to burn their bodies in the fireplace in the living room. I mean, that's like a whole host of fucked upness that this guy's clearly been on. I mean, God knows what he was doing online. I'm sure it wasn't just Call of Duty. But look,
this is more insane
than
one episode of Married with Children, to be honest. When Bad Bundy finally could get laid, but also the virtual way. I was joking back then that it would be ever possible that that you're going to be literally wired to internet via all your organs. You know, they're going to plug your mouth, plug your nose, maybe plug your asshole, even and your dick somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. These suits are made for men and women. For the men, it's got this thing where your penis can go into, and then it vibrates and does all sorts of actions. And then for the women, it actually has a vibrator type of thing that goes inside them, as well as breast sensors. And they can you can wear these suits, and these suits would then action whatever that other person is doing on the other side, and whatever you want them to do.
Don't we already live an awful lot of our lived experience online? Haven't we already become
many
like?
Episodes, I'm sorry, but I have to say, many episodes of Married with Children have become fucking reality now, and not only that.
Yeah.
Well, it has though. I mean, a lot of apparently in China and Japan, there's an awful lot of incels, you sort of young Japanese boys, young Chinese boys that are just living in their rooms. They won't come out. Well, they won't even go to school.
Yeah. There's a guy. I mean, these are not children, but adults who I forgot. They've got a particular name for them, but I think in translation it means like herbivore men.
It's the herbivore men.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And they literally, the guy has a room, I don't know, the size of my fucking kitchen by the looks of it. It's tiny little room where he's got one bed, and literally he gets up from his bed, he sits on the floor, kneels on the floor, and eats on he uses his computer chair as his table to eat on. So he kneels on the floor, eats on off the chair, and then puts the stuff away and washes them up, and then he goes onto his computer, which is literally next to his bed. And then he's a game developer. He's developed a bunch of different games. Some of them looked really fucked up, but generally he's trying to develop games, and that's how he makes his money online. That he develops, he writes code and stuff for people, and he literally lives in this tiny box his entire fucking. That's worse than I've seen people in solitary confinement with more room than that guy. I'm not joking. Literally, prison solitary confinement cells were bigger than this guy's room.
Aren't we all moved? But it might not be the same for you two, because I know with Banksy's sort of got a job and he's sort of important and he's doing all sorts of management jobs and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, there are people that you and I know that are online all day, every fucking day.
Yeah.
Right? All day, every. Do you know? I won't mention any names, but because of the booster, the COVID booster.
Yeah, the booster
jab. I've been involved with the booster jabs recently, and which has meant me having to get up at ungodly hours of the morning to sort of get here and there and everywhere and do this, that, and the other. Okay. Right? And
are you like a volunteer or something for a hospital?
Something like something right. And the thing is, I've been working like really weird fucking hours, and I at like 4 o'clock in the morning I'll be sort of traveling somewhere and looking online, just with nothing else, while I'm just traveling there, looking online to see what on a bus or a train or something like that. And there'll be
and these people are online.
Yeah.
I know.
You and I know people that you and I know.
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock.
I've seen it because like sometimes I have my body clock goes all over the place, and I sleep like at 8 o'clock at night, and then I wake up at 3 in the morning and I can't sleep anymore. So because my body clock is set to like about 6 hours, 5-6 hours, and I can't seem to sleep anything after that. So whatever time I fall asleep, after that 5-6 hours is done, that's it. I'm up. Now, if I sleep at 8 at night, I'm getting up at 2-3 in the morning. If I sleep at 12 at night, I'm getting up at 6 in the morning. So if I fall asleep in the middle of the evening, early evening, then I'm up at 3-4. And yeah, I see those people that you're talking about online chatting shit. And I'm like,
all hours
what are you doing? Do you have no life? What could you possibly be saying that you need people to know at 4 in the fucking morning? There's like, I think it can wait. I don't think whatever it is you're trying, the message you're trying to give out to the internet and the world requires you to do it now.
It's a kind of mania. It's a kind of hunger. My missus actually told me that I had to get off. That's why I've not. I mean, sort of Velly not being around, in some ways, has actually been quite a good thing, because my missus actually sort of said you're spending too much time online.
Yeah.
She said it was sort of getting sort of addictive.
Well,
you know what I mean?
it is. It's highly addictive. Dude, you have no idea. I almost failed my fucking final year at university because of the internet. I'm not even remotely joking. I had to ban myself because I strictly don't play games on my PCs. I banned myself of PC gaming during that period, especially because I had a console. I had like an Xbox 360 or PlayStation or whatever, and I was like, that's the only thing that I'm going to play games on. So I don't, when I'm on my computer, I'm doing my uni work, I'm not getting distracted by games. But that wasn't the problem. The chat rooms were the fucking problem. In the early 2000s, I used to be on Paltalk. I'm not even remotely joking. I used to get on Paltalk on like mid-evening, like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening on a Friday, and then shut it down on Sunday night because I had to get up for uni on Monday morning, so I couldn't, I used to fucking have the thing running, even if I mean, sometimes you just pass out. I wasn't falling asleep like, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep now. No, I'm just on Paltalk until I go unconscious. And then there were people who used to record my fucking snoring because I was sleeping on the mic.
And that addiction stops the monk from being able to sell his Ferrari.
Yeah, well, no, you're 100% right. And the thing
is, stops us from questing, from trying to try to overcome challenges.
Yeah, but you see, I got over that shit. I'm talking 2001, 2002. I got over all that in that period. Now I hear people like Rodney talking about how he fell asleep on his live stream. I'm like, dude, fucking did that like 20 years ago. I was falling asleep on a live stream or in a live chat room like all the time. So that was that. Like he says it like it's some kind of a surprise. I'm like, dude, you're addicted to this shit. Because Rodney, supposedly he's got like wife and kids, and yet he's running 12-hour fucking live streams. How the fuck are you running 12 hours? I'm coming up to 3 hours now, and it's already gone too long. I'm already looking at this going, oh, fucking hell, nobody's going to watch this. Because it's already way too long. But, but 12 hours, what are you doing the whole day? I can barely get 30 minutes, 40 minutes Monday to Friday to be on these live streams, to even just chat, let alone run a whole fucking stream the whole day. So, yeah, if he's running that, either he's addicted, or he's got nothing else better to do, and he's just running it for the sake of that. People like Real or Jedi, I get it. This is a business to them. They're running this as a business. They want to make money out of this. They want to build this up into some potential money-making, venture. So they're putting in those hours for that reason. Veli was doing it for the same thing, realized he's not getting anywhere fast. So that's why he shut it down, because he's got better things to do in his life.
It wasn't getting a payback that he.
No, it wasn't. It was he gave it a good shot. I mean, it wasn't like he skimped on it. Like me, I've been fucking around. I've been doing videos on YouTube since 2016, and my growth has been very pathetic. Whilst I've seen people literally start channels in 2020 and 2019 and are now 1 million plus subscribers. There's a guy called the Drunken, the Critical Drinker.
Yes.
He's a great channel.
Fucking brilliant.
I found him when he was in his hundreds of, I think it was like 100,000 subscribers in. And this was like 2019, 20.
Go away.
Yeah. Now, now he's got 1.5 million subscribers. He's at 1.5 million subscribers in now. Within 2 years, it took him to get there.
Fuck off, game.
Exactly. Fuck off, film. I can definitely smell shite. Because I mean, all the sayings is him. Like the message, the virus of unknown location and unspecified. That's like the way he says when he wants to mention the vid. Here's the virus of unspecified location and unknown place.
Fuck off, game.
I can definitely smell shite. So yeah, his videos are admittedly they are brilliant. They are funny and they're incisive, and he knows movies, really well. He knows the tropes. He knows all the different lingos. So yeah, he makes great videos, but he's grown like tremendously over the last couple of years, whilst I'm still fledgling with a few thousand, and that's because I realized, the what do you call it? The chew is not worth the bite is not worth the chew. This was just too.
I think that if somebody actually finds a niche, right, there is possibility. I mean, you saw that with Sargon. You saw it with the Critical Drinker, right? I mean, it's really interesting. The Critical Drinker reminds me an awful lot of a bloke called Barry Norman. They used to do like films.
Oh yes.
Barry, but
the rude version of Barry Norman.
Yeah, but the rude version, but exactly the same. He would apply intelligence and logic to a film script and tell you and just dismantle and sort of say, this is why this isn't working.
Yeah. But the thing is, I have to say these guys are very good. I mean, I'll be honest. I thought about, me and a friend of mine, we thought about actually doing a film review channel where we just talk about films and we review films, which I would love. But okay, I'm not going to get into it too much because we might still do it, and I don't want to sort of give it away. But generally, we were going to do it in a very, or at least still the plan is to do it in a very humorous way. But I said to him, dude, my problem is I don't know movies in the way these people who like Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic and all these other people, they know movies like really well. They know all the ins and outs, all the different types of stories that are basically applied, because there's something like about 7 or 8 stories which are just recycled amongst every movie ever. The core stories are all exactly the same.
Well, I mean, I think you'll probably find that his things take a ton of work, right?
Exactly.
And it's like a poem, that it's a whole load of ideas are compressed into a small space.
Yeah, but the writing is fantastic. And I said to my friend, I said, my problem is, there's a saying, I think it was, I read it with Malcolm X said it. He says, a wise man can play the fool, but a fool can never be a wise man. And that's the problem. I can try to make it humorous, but to play the fool, you need to be exceedingly wise. You need to know movies really well to then make it into a comedic thing, into a, and give it a comedic twang to it. And every time I try writing a review for a movie, I mean, I did a review of The Matrix the other day, and I think it was shite because I was just babbling half the time. I repeated myself. I was forgetting what I was saying because I had no script. I was just running straight off the top of my head. And so if you have a tight script, you have to know movies and how they're made and how they're, how the different types of movie tropes work, in order to really write these tight scripts so that you can present it in the way Critical Drinker does. And I just can't. Every time I try to write it down, it just doesn't seem to work for me.
Well, you surprised me because you are very articulate. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, right? But, sort of getting back to the manosphere. But
Yeah.
the thing is that you are very sort of articulate, and you are very good at actually putting your finger on what you. There's been quite a few times when I saw you dismantle Respect. Right, you were absolutely spot on the money.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I suppose with those type of characters, it's easy enough. I don't know. I gotta maybe give it another shot at this movie
review
thing.
You can be very incisive, in very very. What's the word? Like laser, like a sort of laser through the fog. You can actually sort of you can hone in on the target. You can see. You can sort of ignore all the noise. To actually locate this, you're pretty good at that actually. So don't sell yourself short.
Maybe, but I think maybe because I look to people like Critical Drinker but that guy's an author. He's written multiple books.
I didn't know that.
He's shielded some of his books on his channel before. If you look at some of his videos, he does promote it.
So you're probably finding years of
Exactly.
to actually get to where he is now.
Yeah, but the thing is, he is an author in the sense that he knows how to sit down and write a book, so he can whip out a script like with no issues, because and that's why his scripts are so tight, is because he knows how to write. And then all he has to do is just simply read his own script, and that's it. And then he does the video editing and stuff, and he's done.
There's a guy I keep leaving messages. When you I keep referring to this guy Rakita Law, right? You probably don't have time to see him, because the thing is,
I'll try.
Well, you probably won't. The problem is that he's got. He actually follows court cases in America, and you probably don't have time, But one of the things, if you do get a chance to sort of watch like 5 minutes or half an hour of him, he's very very sharp with the law. He's really, really good at sort of saying the reason why.
Is it like a green symbol, RL?
Yeah, that's the That's
I found him.
Law. Yeah, he's really fucking good, and he's really good at like that. Later, saying this doesn't work because so and so. If the reason why they're not saying this is because the law says if you do that, and there was like he showed an interview that the police revealed. They did a police interview, and he said. This guy went into the police interview. You never talk to the police before talking to your lawyer. You never, ever do that. And this is why. And he actually sort of shows that this guy goes in and he says A, right? And because he says A and not B, he actually sets himself up in the eyes of the law as being premeditated murder. If he'd actually said, I fell under threat, right? And therefore I defended myself. Right, he would have actually walked free out of the court, but because he hadn't spoken to a fucking lawyer and he didn't know how to dance within the law, he got like 135 fucking years. You know what?
Shit.
And that's
crazy.
That's the great thing about watching this particular guy, because he does actually sort of show he just shows the American law in all its horror. It's in your worst nightmares.
Yeah. How quickly you can go from a free man to being in prison for like the next 60 years of your life, and
for saying A and not B.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's scary as well. So scary to think.
The thing is that the really sort of heartening thing is that in this country, if God forbid somebody murders somebody else, they'll be on license for the rest of their lives. But unless it's really heinous crime, they will walk free after 20 years or 25 years.
But that's
even the worst murderer in this country. And in my view, I don't think that that's such a bad thing. There's let's say somebody murders somebody when they're 25 and they step out when they're 55. Are they still going to be a threat to society when they're 55?
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. It's like that Shawshank Redemption section, isn't it?
Well, depends, because if you are stepping out when you are 55, basically your best years of your life are over, and they have passed by. You basically wasted them behind bars. Yes,
but are you a threat?
Way, you are not that young to.
But are you a threat?
Excuse me?
Are you a threat, MC? Are you at 55? Are you a threat to society? If 55, you step out,
well, depends. Depends. Some of those guys are quite coming out of prison fit, to be honest. Not all of them, but and by the way, those guys may want to return because they don't know any better. So they may want to figure out how to commit another crime like that, or an assault, or something lesser, just to come back, because they don't know life outside of the prison. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if the crime is a psychologically based stuff, so if this person has got psychological issues and he's never been treated in that whole time in prison, because the problem is a lot of prisons, especially in the United States, are focused on punitive punishment rather than actually rehabilitation. So if this person has mental issues and he's never been treated for them, at 55, he's still going to be as dangerous as he was in 20, because he's got psychological problems and he's going to commit the same crime again. But if this was a crime of, I don't know, robbery, and someone got shot during that robbery, and this kid was a, I don't know, an accessory to it, or he was even involved in the robbery, then yeah, there's a good chance at 55 he's never going to really be that person anymore.
Apparently, most of the people that murder other people know the person that they've killed.
Well, there you go. There you go. But what I mean is, I think ultimately it bears down to the crime and the mental state of the person who committed the crime. If this person is psychologically prone to homicide, is kind of a serial killer, you know what I mean? That kind of nut job. Then no, even coming out of 55 is still.
Well, they don't. Those kind of people. I mean, I know that people do slip through, but those kind of people in this country, they don't slip. They remain in prison. Apparently, in America, they will get sentences of 150, 180 years, and they're never coming out. They're never coming out.
Yeah.
You know, there was a case
Lifers.
about what? Sorry.
Lifers.
But beyond life, they actually say that you get 2 life sentences, that you live your life, and if you survive that life, you somehow then get a second life sentence on top. You are never coming out.
Yeah.
Well, but one thing I'm really astounded, because this is a thing that I have a problem with, the American law system. I mean, the sentences are like taken out of some kind of a cartoon, or I don't know, comedy series. You are sentenced for three times the lifetime and death penalty. I'm like, how the fuck you going to serve that?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. They do like three life.
I would like to say to that judge, in order to do it, you probably have to convert that guy to Hinduism and make Hinduism
reincarnation. Yeah, no, I mean, of course, they give like 3 consecutive or 5 consecutive life sentences. That means that because you got to realize every life sentence is a maximum of certain amount. Some countries have like 60 years, 30 years, so on. So, and within that you have the parole system. So actually by 20 or 15 years you could get paroled. And so the reason they give these consecutive life sentences is that even if your first life sentence you get paroled after 15 years, you still have to serve the second life sentence, which will be a further 15 or 20 years before that parole comes up. And then you got to serve the third life sentence, which will be a further 15 to 20 years of that one becoming paroled. So actually your first parole could be anything up to like 50 years.
Oh yeah, no, there was a guy sentenced yesterday, and his parole will come up when he's 86.
There you go. There you go. So that's the kind of thing. But sometimes a single life sentence or a single sentencing doesn't have enough with parole and with other things. You will only serve, maybe 10, 15 years. And so that wouldn't be enough either punitively or even if you need treatment or psychologically to be a person who doesn't reoffend. So if you're, depending on the crime and how many, charges you're being charged with, this is why I understand these multiple life sentences are given, so that the person's chances of parole is literally like 3-4 decades away.
Should we really put somebody in a cage without ever the possibility of them ever coming out, ever? Should we?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Is it right to completely destroy anybody's hope?
Well, it all depends on the crime. There are people out there who say that they should just give them the death penalty and kill them. Would that be better?
To be honest, let me think about that this way. I mean, not even thinking about the guy that are going to be sentenced to those kind of lifetimes or even the death penalty. Remember one thing: the prison is kept up by the taxpayer. You basically we are basically being punished in a way with this guy's sentence by keeping him up there, and how uneconomical is that? Oh my! How against how stupid! if this guy will never have a rehabilitation whatsoever, will be not fixed whatsoever, then why the hell should we even bother um, to put him in any kind of prison for a lifetime? I hear even people sometimes telling that they would prefer a firing squad or death penalty to that, because it's torture for them to even sit there and wait for their own death.
Well, that's what Myra Hindley said. She was a terrible criminal who tortured young children,
There you go.
tortured to death, and she was caught by the police about 6 months after we stopped hanging people in the United Kingdom, and she spent something like about 60 years in prison, and then eventually died. And she said she wished that they'd hung her.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, which is the greater punishment? To keep them alive or to actually execute them?
I am all for being unmerciful to certain kind of offenders, but the thing is, on what cost? I mean, it's a little bit like shooting yourself in the foot, because I don't want to pay for somebody's lifetime accommodation when that guy or woman will not even work probably. And in some countries, upkeeping a prisoner in a prison is costs much more money than a guy that works in a minimum wage job earns. And those are the most people.
Oh yeah, no, it costs something.
It does.
It's about 50,000 a year to keep a prisoner in this country.
The thing is,
a year, yeah.
we have these moral quandaries when it comes to the death penalty, and I think this is the reason why most of these European nations, have got rid of it, is because, is it best? There's an old saying: it is better to let 100 guilty people go than it is to kill an innocent man. And that's where these laws stem from, is that we don't have a perfect judicial system. We don't have a flawless system where we can guarantee.
There always going to be mistakes.
Yeah, that we can guarantee that if we put this man to the death penalty, he actually committed the crime. And so for that reason, they you may not be able to reverse time if someone's been falsely imprisoned for the night. I mean, there was a guy recently, he was falsely imprisoned for 16 years because a woman pointed him out as the rapist, even though she knew he wasn't the rapist. They just caught him and she just did it. But if that man was, for example, put to the death penalty, they could never reverse it. At least he may have lost 16 years of his life in prison, but at least he's alive to actually be able to, put together some semblance of a life now. But if they put a death penalty on him, you have killed an innocent man.
Well, I know, but even if we would have to resignate from the death penalty, if we don't know if the guy or woman actually did murder someone or whatever, we still cannot. I mean, we should still do something out of the prisons to not make them some vacation spots for those people to not doing anything, basically just sitting there. Put them to work. I don't care. Yeah. Even under guns of the guards. Even.
Well, in America, in America, the prisoners actually are productive and they make lots and lots of money. I mean, the prison services in America are highly. They're money generating machines.
Well, there are private prisons. Yeah, there are private prisons that
they make big money.
And those prisoners, they're almost slave labor at this point.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they have actually sort of said that it's a new form of slavery.
Slavery, yeah, because the majority of men in prisons are black men as well.
I mean, I don't think that's entirely bad, because at least here in my own country here, for real, the upkeep of the prisoner of whatever kind costs more than a minimum wage in a month. than a person earns in a minimum wage.
Well, in America, big corporations can actually get, let's say, like aluminium ladders. They can get them assembled in prisons, and then they can start selling them, and they make vast profits out of that. They're not allowed to do that in the UK. But maybe that would be a good thing, you know. I mean, sort of getting prisoners to actually be working really fucking hard.
Well,
You
I
know.
mean, don't the prisoners,
let's put
even
it this
in the
way.
UK prisons, don't they work in the sense of they have to keep the prison clean? They have to, you know, they work the kitchens, they
Sell
work the.
mailbags, and also they also make fishing. You know, like massive, great big trawler nets.
Oh my
They
God.
Okay, let's put this in another way. Why shouldn't a prisoner learn a skill, even if he would be exploited by those corporations? I mean, you know, on working on those machines or wherever.
You see, the problem is for me is the minute you put a financial gain on prisoners doing work, like you said, you know, let's say they have a mechanical engineering or car mechanics section in a prison where people can become qualified mechanics, or they can become software engineers, or they can become whatever, doctors, lawyers. I've heard of people becoming lawyers in prison. So yeah, those things potentially will then give this prisoner some advantages. When he comes out, he can get a job or whatever. But the problem when you manufacture goods within a prison, and then that prison becomes a place of becomes effectively a manufacturing hub, then those greedy corporations will literally want to, you know, they will find ways to incarcerate more people in order to then have a production line.
That has happened where they've actually found that some people, that especially poor people, that they have to take plea deals. They sometimes have to cough up to say I'm guilty of this when they're not guilty, but they can't afford a judge. They can't afford. Sorry, they can't afford
A lawyer.
a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's right. And they're given a plea deal, and they confess to the plea deal because they know that if they don't, they're going to spend forever in prison.
There you go. There you go. I just want to bring in Omar here. We have a new member on the panel. Omar, are you there?
Uncle Omar, is that you?
Omar, I've got Omar who's on mute. But they've jumped onto the panel. I don't know what's going
Maybe forgot
on.
to put the microphone in. Or
yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know who this Omar is. Hello, Omar. I don't know. It's
Uncle
1 o'clock.
Omar, is that you? Is that you?
Uncle Omar. Oh my God. No, I thought it might be Omar. Oh, he's gone. There you go. He's obviously.
I probably offended him because
he probably had a connection.
One of the problems they actually found with apparently, apart from in Texas, is that where you've got capital states in America where they can execute people, you know, they sentence people to death. The juries don't like convicting people of a capital crime. Apparently, there's a resistance. Think about it. If supposing you get jury duty, right, and somebody's doing a terrible thing, do you really want to be the person that decides that person is going to be executed? Do you want to live with that?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. And people are very reluctant.
So they would actually let people go free. Then if they, you know, found them guilty, they would actually have a capital punishment.
Well, what actually happens is that apparently the jury actually decides whether they can say that that he's convicted of first-degree murder, right? And they actually decide whether that person can be executed or not. But every member of the jury must decide. You can't have a majority jury. Right, so everybody has to agree that person's crimes were so heinous that person does not deserve to live. He needs to be executed. Now, apparently in Texas, they have no problem with that at all. They have like 2,000 people a year. Right, there's more people convicted of capital crimes in Texas than in any of than all the other states across America. Right, but the thing is that across those states, not every state in America allows capital crimes where people get executed, but a lot of people where they do they don't want to actually live with that on their conscience that somebody was executed
Yeah,
because of them.
because of them. That's interesting, actually. I didn't realize that was the flip side to capital punishment is that people don't want to convict someone because they know that they're going to go to deaths. And yeah, that's
Well, I
interesting.
don't know whether I could live with that. I mean, personally, and what about you, MC? I mean, could you, if somebody, supposing you had somebody that done something really, really terrible, some really appalling crime,
Killed like 20
Well,
children.
with all honesty, I never had an occasion. I never did that. So could I live with it? I don't know. I think I could, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I couldn't. I myself, absolutely, because I don't agree with the death penalty. So I couldn't do it because I don't
You
see
know,
any. Unfortunately, I can't because of the fact that I know that the judicial system of just about every country in the world is faulty. In fact, not just about every country in the world is got a faulty judicial system.
I know that.
Death penalty is an irreversible act that I couldn't live with.
but MC, earlier on, I'm not getting at you. I'm not attacking you. But earlier on, you were quite reasonably saying that we can't. That why should we pay for people to live at our expense? When they've done something terrible, right?
Yes, I said that.
And so it naturally, logically follows that if that's true, then people that have done the most terrible crimes deserve to die because we shouldn't have to pay for them. Is that right? Is that wrong? Or...
Well, I am not all for putting them to death, but I am all for making it impossible for them to live on our expense, to put them in some kind of a way that they will not sit it out, like literally sit it out in those prisons. I don't want. I want to hear even about it. That we should be upkeeping them just like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The costs put on the society to keep that guy away from
It's
like,
high. It's very high.
yes, that's my problem with it. Because ironically, it's still a punishment for the rest of the people and the society, for the thing that this guy did, because it is from our tax money, and that's my problem with it.
Well, here's the thing. Here's something to think about. Clinton, President Clinton,
I know.
25 years ago, he actually found out that most people that commit crimes are a small number of people that keep committing the same crimes. And he passed a law which was three strikes and you're out. And this law was if you committed three felonies, three sort of state crimes, right, that enabled you to go to prison. On the third strike, you got a life sentence. And it took a whole generation of habitual criminals out of the public circulation, and the streets of America became significantly safer. Now, is that right or is that wrong? On the one hand, we have safer streets. America was safer. On the other hand, you have America, which was absolutely full, had the largest prison population outside of Turkey. Which is so? What's right? Was he right or was he wrong?
It was just a minute. It was made under Clinton that if you commit the same crime three
Three
times,
crimes, any crimes, any three. There was a guy his third crime was to steal some videotapes out of a petrol station. He didn't even have a video machine, and he stole three videos out of a petrol station. And he got because it was his third strike, he got a life sentence. He went away forever.
well, as as silly as it is, and as insane and stupid in a way, it's hard to feel sorry for me for a guy that is keeping and repeating the same thing all over again. And let's let's face it, the courts will get tired too, and I mean, lifetime prison. Yes,
All right.
I would feel sorry that that this guy would be sitting probably in the same prison with hardcore criminals, but he or she should know what can happen.
Well, it had a result. The streets were safer. America was safer.
Yes,
the crime rate went down.
And by the way, even if those are only videotapes, you know, I also had many urges back in the days to steal this and that, especially that I have grown up in a country that was way poorer than it is today, and I never did that, and not because the crimes were so severe. In fact, they have been much much less severe than under the former system, because we don't have also death penalty in Poland. We don't have it. That's true. We don't. We don't have all those maybe strict things, but on the other hand, in the 90s the country wasn't very safe, you know.
I'm with you, guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm gonna call it a night because I am fading fast.
Thanks for running the show.
No worries, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed.
Finish that conversation. So
yeah,
goodbye.
Yeah, don't worry.
Take care.
Have a good night. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good
MC.
night.
Thank you,
Good
Ned. Thanks everyone who came on. Ciao. I am just dropping off, and here we are. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Everyone on the chat, everyone on the panel, Flexi, Hopsky, Ned, and MC, and all the guys in the chat. There's just everybody. There's a lot of people. Erendor, NPC, Manny Cinder, Ned, John Smith. But John Smith was Hopsky. Yeah, Buska, big up Buska. Everyone. Thank you. There's just so many people now to mention, but Reanimator and From the Grave, the 4chan trolling network, Real, big up Ultra, Skyworks, everyone. Thank you for coming, guys. It was interesting. I hope you guys maybe get a bit more insight into the manosphere. For those of you who don't know what that is, you probably have to watch the beginning of this stream again, but for now, thank you, everyone. We may discuss this manosphere business again another time, but for now, have yourself a wonderful evening, wonderful weekend, enjoy your Sunday, and yeah, ciao.
Makes a man? Is it the power in his hands? Is it his quest for glory? Give it all you got to fight to the top, so we can know your story. Now you're a man, a man, man, man. Now you're a man, a mounty, mounty, mount, a man, man, man. You are now a man, you're a man. Now you're a man. Live it, live it. What makes a man? Is it the woman in his arms? Just 'cause she has big titties? Or is it the way he fights every day? No, it's probably the titties.